Hi friends, and welcome back to Rustic and Lace DIY. I put together a compilation video for you with some of our favorite fall DIYs from the past. I will be back again on Friday with another video, so stay tuned for that. And with all that being said, let's get to crafting. Okay, here's DIY number one. So for this DIY, I'm going to use this plunger. I'm going to use some burlap. And then I'm going to use some of these little lights. I got these from Dollar Tree. I'm also going to use some floral tape. I'm going to use this bucket from Dollar Tree as well. And then I'm going to use some different leaves. Most of these I believe are from Dollar Tree. And I'm going to start off by placing this plunger into the bottom of my pail. Now, after I did that, I'm going to add some rocks on top of it just to weigh it down and hold it in place. Then I'm going to take these leaves and I am going to use the floral tape there, and I'm just going to wrap that floral tape around the stems of those leaves, and then that way it will hold them in place. I'm sorry about the angle of this. It does get a little difficult to film because it's on my desk, and yeah, with the angle of my camera, it's kind of hard to place it. Now, you guys, I will give you a little warning. This is going to be a very fun voiceover because I did all this stuff last year and I don't remember what I did. So this should be really fun. So here I decided to change my camera to a different angle so that you could see a little bit better. And I am just continuing to layer those leaves onto that plunger handle and then wrap it with the floral tape. Then I took the lights here and I am just going to just kind of wrap the tree with those little lights. And you guys, I have to tell you, this is the very first, sorry about that, DIY because it was my most favorite DIY that I did last year. I absolutely love the way this little tree came out, and in fact I can't wait to put it up. So here I am wrapping all of that with that burlap because I didn't want you to see, you know, all the stems, all the lights and the tape and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just going to wrap that portion of my tree with that burlap. And after I got done with that, I'm just hot gluing the burlap to itself. Then I'm going to fill that pail with raffia. And I don't know where I got this raffia I've had in my stash for many, many years. So I'm just filling that bottom part with the raffia. I'm going to add some little pumpkins. And there it is. You guys, again, I loved this. That's why I had to put this one as my first DIY for this video because I just loved it so much. You'll have to let me know what you think about this in the comment box below. So I'm going to start off by painting my clay pots with that pumpkin, or what color is that? It's not pumpkin. Is it pumpkin? I think it's pumpkin. Oh my goodness. Anyways, I'm doing the rim with that, and then I'm going to do the bottom part with the sandstone. And I think, I'm trying to see here, I think I did all of them with the pumpkin, and this is going to be the face. So I did the face part with the sandstone. And then I'm just drawing in my eyes here. I always like to draw in first because I am just not a very good drawer. And so I feel like it really helps me when I use my pencil to draw it in. And then that way I can make sure that I like what I drew. And then once I have what I like, I use my Arteza paint markers to go over and color them all in. And that's what I'm doing right here. You guys, I had a really hard time not posting everything that was on this video because everything that I made on this video I absolutely loved. So I will have links. I will try to have links in the description box to each of the videos that I posted my clips from, in case you want to check out the videos. So here I'm just using some white marker here to just kind of color in those eyes, give it a little life. I'm adding a little orange to the nose here, as you can see. And I add some stitches to the nose. I added some stitches to the lips. Again, you guys, like I said before, I don't do well drawing on my own. So I always pull up pictures on my computer and kind of go with that. Here I'm using some of that Fix-All glue as well as my hot glue, and I'm going to glue the head part onto the body part of our Scarecrow, just like you see me doing right there. Once I was done with that, now I am taking this twine and I'm going to put it through the bottom of that little mini pot, and then I'm going to tie a knot and pull it through. Now, I've done this before. Every time I do this, I think after I glue the head and the body together, I think, why didn't I glue this part to the head and the body, or between it? It might not work very well. It might make it too much of a gap, but I'm always thinking you should do it that way. But I didn't. Instead, I am just hot gluing this to the side, and then I did the other arm, and then I'm going to just hot glue this and make this part for the leg, and I'm just gluing it. I'm making two here at the same size. I'm just measuring my twine, and then I'm going to hot glue that to the inside of the body part of this. I don't know what I'm doing with the tape. What am I doing with the tape? Oh, I am going to put this through the other two little small ones, so that way it feeds through a little easier. And then of course I'll tie the knot just like I did with the arms. And then after I tie the knot, I will hot glue the other end to the inside of the body part of this Scarecrow. Okay, let's see. There I go. I'm going to do the hot glue. And then after that, I am going to take some of that raffia and I'm going to fill the Scarecrow's head with the raffia. Just pushed in, I don't know, just a good amount to fill it up. And then I'm going to take one of those little Scarecrow hats, and I'm going to add a little hot glue on the side of that top and then just hot glue that hat to it. And then I think I'm taking small pieces here and I'm going to put it down, I think, around the front of the face to make like bangs. I believe that's what I'm doing. Oh, no, and that's not what I'm doing. I'm going to add it coming out of the hands. I think I do it with the feet too. Yeah, as you can see right there. And then I add some around the neck, just using hot glue and little pieces. This is probably what took me the longest for this thing, was just getting all those little pieces. And let me tell you, I did have that raffia everywhere in my craft room. Anyway, so then I'm taking some more here. I think I'm just going to make like a little tie with it. Something like that, I think. We'll see here in a minute. I'm just tying a knot. Literally, you guys, I don't remember exactly what I did with these things. Okay. What else am I going to do here? Oh, I took some burlap and I just cut out a little piece to make it look like a patch, and I'm going to hot glue it right there on the front of my Scarecrow. And look how adorable he is. Oh, I put one up on his head too. I just love him. Now, I had him displayed on my tree, like where the pumpkins were on that tree. I have him sitting there too, and it was so cute. Okay, so I'm gonna use white as well. You guys are gonna see this fall a lot more of those metallic bronzy colors. I absolutely love them for fall. So I started off by putting 4 of those fence pieces together, and then I took the 5-gallon stir sticks or paint sticks, whatever you want to call them, and I cut them down to fit, and I'm just using wood glue and hot glue to put them on the top and the bottom of these pieces to connect them. I think I painted all of them, even though the sticks were white, the fence pieces were white. They kind of looked grungy and dirty, but I think I painted all of them white. I may not have. I don't remember, honestly, but I am just going over and distressing, of course, with my elephant color. And after I have it all distressed, I am showing you a lot. I'm just getting all over the edges and everywhere. Then I'm going to add my decals. So I add this one that says hello to the top here. And then I'm going to add the next one. Looks like I was having difficulties with that one wanting to lay down. And I don't know what I'm doing here. Why didn't I add the next one? Well, I am, oh my goodness. I am putting spackling in the little holes. These were like ornaments and I didn't want to see them. And then I'm going to paint one. You know what? This is Worn Penny. I believe that the one that I'm using right now is called Worn Penny. You can get these colors at Hobby Lobby, or you can find them on Amazon. You should be able to. I know I found them on Amazon and at Hobby Lobby. I absolutely love the Worn Penny. It is just beautiful. You'll see me using it a lot in this video, but I'll probably use it a lot this year too because I just love them for fall. And then I'm using the Rich Espresso here, and then I think I will use gold. I don't know what I'm using the gold for. Am I putting the gold on? I don't know what I'm going to do the gold with. Maybe I changed my mind and decided not to use the gold, which could be the case. Here I'm just using that pumpkin. That pumpkin I've had for many years. I think I got it at a place called Craft Warehouse in Oregon. And yeah, anyways, so I'm just going to add my wood glue and hot glue and add the leaves. Oh, see, there's the other decal. I guess I didn't show you guys, but it says fall. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm just going to add these on. I am sorry, you guys, that almost every one of these clips has that subscribe and follow and like or whatever. Again, I just took clips from these videos, so I guess you're probably going to see them a lot. So I'm going to take some jute cord here and I'm just going to wrap it, or twine, whatever you want to call it. This came from Walmart. And I'm just going to wrap it around the bottom. As you can see, I wrapped it around a few times on top of that little piece there. And then I went around the bottom, and then I'll hot glue that in place. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the top. And I think one of the reasons why I really love fall decor, you guys, is because it is got that rustic vibe usually, and I think that's what I love. I took some of these half beads and I painted them with, I think that is the Worn Penny. I love how those came out. I put them on the top and the bottom of those two pieces that came out, and then I'm just adding some twine on the back for a hanger. And I believe that's all I did on this one. And you guys, I really love how this one came out. This is a close one for being my number one, I tell you. But I love that. You'll have to let me know what you think about it as well. So I'm going to start off by taking my heat gun, using my Cricut spatula here to remove those strips that were connecting the heart. Now, though, I have to tell you, I do remember this. They were hard to take off. It took me a while to get them all off. In fact, I think some of them broke. I was having a heck of a time. So I put them back all together, like you see, side by side, and I'm just using my ruler to draw a line, and then I'm going to use my box cutter to score each one of those. Now that heart is thin enough that it doesn't take much to score them. Then I'm just filling the holes for hanging with my plaster, because this is not going to be a hanging sign. And then I'm going to paint each one of those pieces with each one of those colors. Once they were done, I took my plaster and I'm going to distress. I believe I distress all of them with the plaster except for the one that's painted plaster. I am wrong. I'm going to take a little bit of my pumpkin and add that to the brown as well. Did I distress any of the pumpkin? Yeah. And I'm taking the antique or the truffle and distressing the pumpkin one. And then I'm taking the antique or the truffle color and distressing that dusk color as well. And then I'm taking that truffle as well. And I don't know why I didn't add plaster to all the rest. I don't know. Anyways, I'm sure there was a reasoning when I was doing this. Once I was done, I'm going to add a little bit of the pumpkin to this, I think, because it gives it a kind of a rustic look. I just really love it. I'm going to add, okay, so I'm going to add some pumpkin to the orange. To the dust color. And then I'm going to glue those sticks back on. Maybe I didn't, I don't remember. Maybe I didn't break them, but it felt like I did. I just remember struggling big time with putting those together. So after that, I took some wood glue and some hot glue. I don't know where I got those pieces. They must be tumbling tower blocks that I put together. I don't know what those are from. You know what? If you want to know, check out the video, because I will tell you in that video where those came from. And I will have it in the links in the video as well, or in the description box. I am going to hot glue these wood pieces I got from Hobby Lobby around Christmas time when they went on sale. They're like the birch pieces, so I'm just gluing, and they're halved like that, so I'm just gluing them to be the stem of my pumpkin. And I took some raffia here, and I am tying some raffia around it to keep it all together. And then I'm going to give it a little bit of a haircut here, and then I'm going to glue it onto my stem. Just like you see me doing right there. And then I'm going to add some leaves to it as well. I love these multiple color things like that. I just love this. Yeah, these are a lot of my favorite ones, you guys. I'm taking some of this buffalo check ribbon. I think this probably came from Walmart at Christmas time. I am just making my bows like I normally do with doing the awareness ribbon and scrunching it up and tying some twine around it. I'm going to dovetail the ends, and then I'm going to hot glue that right on top of the raffia. And let's see, is that the end of it? Oh, nope. I got to add my Hello Fall, which I think I painted with cashew. Nope, I painted with the dusk. There it is. And I love it. And that cost me $2.50. I don't know. I guess so. Can you tell this was a 5 under 5 challenge video, because I'm going to start off by using my little Cricut spatula to remove the top frame part of this piece. And you just slowly go around, and you can feel it. It comes up really pretty easily, as you can see, but you just want to make sure you're careful so that you don't break it. Whenever you bring pieces off a Dollar Tree like this, you always have to be careful, because it can break easily. I was thrilled because it was pulling off the paper too. Then I spritzed it with water. I spritzed it really good with water. And then I am going to just start scraping. Now, if you set and let it wait maybe 5 minutes, it comes off so much easier. But once I had it all scraped off, I painted what you see next to the ivory, and then the top part with the orange. Then I am going to, I laid that top piece down. I don't have it glued on, but I just wanted to be able to see where to put my rub-on transfers, and I just cut out some of the transfers that I wanted to use, and I lay them down where I want to place them, and I'm using this little stick here to just rub them in place. These rub-on transfers are not too bad, but you do have to rub quite a bit. Compared to essential stencils, I feel like it's quite a bit. But like I said, I just cut out pieces that I wanted to use, and I laid them in the center. And then once I had them all on, I'm just going to use my super glue, and I think I'll use super glue and hot glue probably on this to connect it back on to my piece. And these are going to be, instead of, everybody was using this piece for bees, and I thought, you know what, these would make really cute little pumpkins. So that's what started all of this, was just kind of looking at it differently than what everybody else was looking at. I would like to do that more often. Sometimes I feel like I don't do that enough, but anyways, here we go. I just stuck them right on there. Then I'm going to use my wood glue and some hot glue, and I'm going to put this on that little base that I had painted with the plaster color. There you go. And then I'm just going to hot glue those sticks in place. And those are going to be the little stems of my pumpkins. And then I'm going to add some leaves. So I'm just going to glue some leaves right on by those stems there. And then I took some of this ribbon and I'm just making some shoestring bows, just tying that or making little bows. And then I'm going to trim it off and dovetail the ends and hot glue them just like you see on the other ones. Just going to hot glue them right there at the stem. And I just think this really set these off. I just love these little bows with them. This ribbon I did get from Dollar Tree. And then I am going to take that ribbon and I'm going to wrap it around that little base. I just thought it just really added to it, brought it all together. And as you can see, I also added some of those rub-on transfers to the top part of that base. It was too plain and I wanted to add a little bit more, so I added some of those rub-on transfers there as well. And then I'm just going to glue that in the middle and glue it on this side. I don't remember if I did the back as well. We'll see here in just a moment. Most of the time I don't do the back, but sometimes I do. And it looks like I'm not going to show you. So I'll have to wait until I take it out of storage to see. But there it is. I really love how this came out. And I know a lot of you guys loved this one too. This was one I got. So I'm going to start off by sanding off all that nasty glitter. Oh my goodness, them and their glitter. Look at it on my table. I had glitter everywhere. And you know, something else I know people have told me before, instead of sanding it, you could just put Mod Podge on it. That does help, but I just don't want to ever take the chance of having that glitter everywhere. So I think I actually took 2 of those signs. Oh, that's what I'm doing. I'm taking one of those signs to use to trace along the other side of that sign, and I'm cutting it. Just like you see, I'm cutting the top part of it that makes it look like a mason jar. So I used another mason jar sign to trace so that the top and the bottom would have the same shape. Then I'm using my wood glue here. I'm going all along the picture, and then I'm going to use hot glue. And I think I do use 2 of those signs, even though I showed you one, because what else am I hot gluing? Yeah, there you go. I'm hot gluing them picture to picture. So I cut the mason jar part off of both of those, and then I painted them front and back white. Then I'm taking my elephant here and just doing some light distressing all over my little signs here, which is going to be a riser. And I went a little heavy, so I'm just adding a little bit of white to it to just kind of mute it a little bit. I didn't want it to be so heavy. Then I took as many beads that I thought I was going to need, and I just taped them put them on my painter's tape to hold them in place, and then I just went in and painted them all with the white. Then I'm taking my decal that I created, and I am rubbing that on. It says Welcome Fall. And then once I was done with that, I am going to take my napkin and removing the extra ply there. And then I'm going to add my Mod Podge right where I think it's going to be. And do I dry it or do I just add it? I think let it dry. And then I'm adding my pumpkins. Now that napkin did rip on me a little bit, but you know what? It's okay. I was able to get it right back where it needed to be or where it was laid, and you can't even tell that it ripped. So once I had it laid perfectly where it had been, I'm going to cover it with my parchment paper, and then I'm going to go over it again with my heat press just so that it activates that Mod Podge. And after that, I'm going to cover it again with Mod Podge. Now, I think I went and covered the whole thing with Mod Podge. Usually I will do that so that it all has the same look, so that you don't see a little bit of glossiness over the one part. Then I'm just going through and I'm going to glue these beads on. I am using hot glue, but honestly, I would use wood glue or maybe do strips. I would do wood glue. If you recreate this and you have time, I would do wood glue because wood glue is going to stick. This I will probably end up having to glue again, but I would use wood glue and then I would clamp it and let it sit overnight or whatever so that the glue really sticks. Once I was done, I took some of these beads and I'm going to use hot glue. And again, same with that. I would use wood glue if you want to recreate this, because then it will stand a lot longer than with the hot glue. Then, of course, you know, if I distressed the riser, I've got to distress the beads, right? So I'm going around with my elephant and distressed the beads. I took some of these curlers from Dollar Tree and I wanted to use the wire that's inside of it. So I'm just going to cut off those little ends there, and then I'm going to pull the wire right out just like you see, and then cut off the other little, or I just pulled off that little piece. Then I am going to use my needle nose pliers. I'm going to open up where they're bent there. I'm taking some of these, I think I got those from Walmart or Dollar Tree. I took 4 of them. I'm going to put 2, I think, on each one. And then I am just kind of using those pliers to close them and to just kind of shape them so that they lay flat on the bottom of my riser, just like you see right there. And then I am going to use, I use a little dab of hot glue to kind of keep them connected, hot glue them together. And then I'm going to use hot glue. Now, you know what, guys? I know I'm going to have to go back and reglue those things because hot glue is not going to last. But there it is. I love how this came out. It is so cute. And look at that difference. Theirs was $66. I made mine for like $4.50. I mean, come on. Look how DIY. Now, this is, I used the other side of that pumpkin, and that's that piece right there. I'm going to use a couple of these little crates from Dollar Tree, and then of course the same paints, the sandstone, the dusk, celery, and pink cloud. So I am going to use my antique wax as well. I am going to use my heat gun to remove those little pieces that were holding them together. And once I have them all removed, I was trying to sand, I think that bit off in the back so that's not so noticeable. I took one of these little wood sign thingies here. I got these from Hobby Lobby. I covered it with my antique wax. I did the same with the baskets or the little crates. Once those pumpkins were all dry and painted, I added some of these. These are the adhesive little faux pearls from Dollar Tree. They're like stickers. And I'm just going to go around all my pumpkins with these things. I love this. Oh my goodness, you guys. I just forgot how much I love these things until I watched this. I absolutely loved how this came out. It was just, to me, it was so pretty. Oh, anyways. So I think I'm going to go around the little slats there on the pumpkins. I think I go around. Yep, I do. I'm going to go around them as well. And I'm going to do this on all of those. Now, I don't do anything around that circle because if I remember right, I'm going to cover the circle up with a word. I didn't like that circle there. So there I have all the pearls on there, and I'm putting some wood glue on. Yeah, that's where I'm going to put this little sign. I'm going to add wood glue and probably some hot glue here. I'm just making sure that it's in the right areas, and then I'm going to add this sign just like that. And then that way you don't see that little hole. And then I'm going to add this blessed word. I must have painted this probably with ivory, but I'm not positive. Let's see. or it might be the, no, I think that's with the sandstone. And then I'm going to use my wood glue and hot glue to connect those two little crates together. Once those were together, I'm marking, why am I marking? I'm trying to remember why I'm marking. Oh, I know why. I'm marking it there so I know where to put my glue. So once I was done, I'm just going to add my wood glue here, and then I'll add some hot glue as well. But I just wanted to make sure that I was putting the glue in the right areas. So that's why I marked it there. And then after that, I think we're almost done, guys. I think. Oh my goodness, this is a long video. Then we're going to add that to the front of those crates, just like you see. I took some pool noodle, cut them in half and cut them down, and I'm just going to add them to the inside. This is a great way if you don't have floral foam. That stuff is so messy. But I like to use the pool noodle sometimes. So I'm just going to start filling it in with some leaves and some pumpkins. I don't remember if I used many flowers. I think it was mainly going to be leaves and the pumpkins, that I had all these little different blues and teals and kind of a goldish pink colors and the off-whites, and I just thought these really went well with the paint colors. So I just kind of went around and added them all into the back, into those little crates. And yeah, I think that's going to be it. I don't remember. We'll see. But I love it. I love these. I love the way this came out. And, you know, I paid, what, $5.20 for that pumpkin piece. And I made 2 DIYs with it. So not bad, right? Yeah, I'm going to use, this was some sunflowers I got from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to include those in as well. I don't remember. I actually think they were Gerber daisies, but they look like sunflowers to me. And there it is. I really love that. I just think it is so pretty. I added some little wheat pieces to come out of it as well. Yeah, you have to let me know what you think about this one. I just love those colors. So I'm going to start off by painting some of those leaves with this gold paint, with the rich espresso, and with the worn penny. I paint the front and the back, so I'm just kind of alternating the different leaves with the different paints. And these did take a while to dry, and I think it's because they were on fabric, but they were tacky for some time, and it did take me a little while to get them to dry. So while those were drying, I'm just going to take this ribbon, and I'm going to hot glue the ribbon to itself, better than hot gluing it to the metal. It's probably touching some of the metal, but I'm hot gluing it to itself. And then I'm just going to wrap it, and I'm just going to continue wrapping it. I think I do end up just cutting big strips and wrapping it, because it kind of got difficult trying to pull that through. But I'm just overlapping them like you see. And this didn't have to be perfect, but it was mainly to have a base for my leaves to be glued to. So as you can see, I'm just going to cut the end there, fold it under, and glue it to the back. And after that, I am going to start gluing these leaves on, and I'm just going to alternate the different colors. And I'm just going to glue, like that is, I think, the worn penny, and then this is the gold, and then I'll take the rich espresso, and then I just do that all the way around. I love this one, you guys. My goodness, I really love them all. Well, that's probably because most of these were my favorites that I picked. So, and it was hard, you guys. There was some other ones that I really loved too that I wanted to add, but this is already a long video as it is. And if you are still hanging in there, you deserve an award or something. So after that, you can see there's a big gap, and I was just planning on putting some bows. So I'm taking this leaf ribbon I got from Dollar Tree, and then the burlap ribbon is the same that I wrapped it with. And I'm just making my regular awareness ribbon bow. And then I'm going to do the same with that one and place that in the front of that. And I just figured this leaf ribbon was perfect because, you know, there's leaves on my wreath. And I'm just going to connect those together. And I am going to dovetail the ends. You guys, I am not a huge wreath person. You probably notice I don't make a lot of wreaths on my channel. I'm not a real wreath person, but I do have a few wreaths that I made for fall that I absolutely love, and I have a hard time deciding which ones to use. I have one that I made a couple of years ago that is a square wreath form that I absolutely love. It has a lot of the wheat sprigs on it, but yet I really love this one too, so I kind of go back and forth on which one to use. I think I ended up putting this one like on my back door, even though no one's really going to see it, but I just really love how this one came out. So I took some of that leaf ribbon and I'm just I cut it down and folded it in half, and I'm just wrapping that in the middle of my bow just to give it a little more of a finished look. I know I usually don't do that, but sometimes I like to do that. I'm going to use some more of this ribbon that I wrapped it with to make a hanger. So I'm just hot gluing the ends together like you see. And then I think I even turned that to the back and hot glue it in place, I believe. Yeah. I'm going to hot glue it right there. That way it just stays and doesn't move around. And then I'm going to play with those glue strings again. And then I'm going to hot glue my bow right in front of that. Oh, I'm going to glue that part down too. And then I'll hot glue the bow. And I think that might be all, but I don't remember. Yep, there it is. Isn't that beautiful? I love how that came out. Oh, I love those colors, you guys. I love them. Which is weird. I'm not a fall color person as far as clothing or anything like that, but when it comes to decorating, I love those colors. So I'm going to start off by taking some spackling and filling in that hole on that pumpkin, and then I painted the pumpkin white and the stem of the pumpkin with my antique wax. After it was all dry, I took this stencil. It is one of the adhesive type, and I fuzzed it because I didn't want it to pull up my paint when I am removing it. And then I'm going to go over the word pumpkin farm and the pumpkin that's on the back of that truck with that rust color. And as you can see, I did add some painter's tape there so that I wouldn't get the rust color on the truck. And then I'm going to lift up my stencil here, my adhesive stencil, until it got to the pumpkin, and then I just made sure that around the truck was sealed again, and then I went over the truck with my black chalk paste, and then I'm going to go over the words on the bottom, the local, organic, and fresh, with black. I was originally going to do them in orange, and I forgot, so I ended up doing those, and then I'm going to lift these up just like I did before. That way the paste doesn't stick to the words, you know, once it dries. And then I covered the bottom words with the orange or the rust color. And then I'm going to take my little measuring tape here. I'm just kind of measuring, making sure that it was even. I made lines on both sides of my paint stick. I did this on the top and the bottom of these sticks. And I'm using my, what is that? Titebond glue and hot glue to attach my 1 gallon sticks on the top and the bottom. Then I turned them around and I did the same thing on the back, but this time I added one in the middle as well, but I do the top and bottom just like the front. Then I'm going to paint all of that with my white chalk paint. Then I'm going to go around and do some distressing with my antique wax, and I'm going to do the same on my pumpkin, just a light distressing. If you don't like distressing, you can always skip that part. And then I'm going to use my Titebond glue again here and hot glue. I did kind of draw out or trace out my pumpkin so I knew where to put them. And then I added my sign. Then I'm just going to add a little bit of hot glue underneath my pumpkin here, and I'm just going to add some Spanish moss. I took one of these styrofoam pumpkins from Dollar Tree, and I'm just cutting it in half. I probably need a sharper blade, but once I got it pretty much cut, I'm just going to kind of easily tear it apart, and then I'm going to glue each half down on the ends of that Spanish moss. Then I turned it around and I hot glued a piece of this ribbon. I got this from Hobby Lobby. And I'm just weaving it inside and out those 5-gallon paint stir sticks on the top there. And then I'm just going to glue that into the back. And then I took this ribbon. This ribbon I got recently from Walmart. I just thought it was beautiful. I'm going to make a bow by making the awareness ribbon, scrunching it up, and then I'm going to add the orange bow in front of the plaid bow and tie them together with some jute twine. And then after that, I did dovetail the ends. If you don't know how to dovetail, you just fold the ends in half and cut at a diagonal. Then I took a whole bunch of raffia here. I'm just, and I'm tying them to the back of those bows. And then I just did a little haircut on them. And then I made another little bit of raffia, tied it together, hot glued it above the pumpkin. Now I'm just using a zip tie. I put it behind my bow, and then I'm just wrapping it around the middle stir stick, a 5-gallon paint stick, and I tighten it there. And then I just went and added some sunflowers around it, and then I just took some twine, wrapped it around the middle stick there underneath the gallon stir stick, and then I'm just going to kind of hot glue the ends to the, I don't know, I just kind of hot glued it a little bit in place so it didn't move around. And there it is. I love that stencil. I think it is so pretty. And you have to let me know what you think about this in the comment box below. So I'm going to start off by painting one side of each of those rounds plaster, and then I painted the ring, the hoop, with that burgundy color. Once they were all dry, I took my fabric Mod Podge. This is really thick, so it really hangs on to that fabric. I am just going over the non-painted side of my round. And then once I got that all on there, I'm taking my material and just kind of pulling and straightening to make sure there's no wrinkles in it. And I don't know why I didn't cut it out to begin with, but after that, I just trimmed off all the excess. I would recommend cutting it down before you put it on there. I don't know why I did it the way I did. But anyways, after it was all trimmed down, I just took my regular Mod Podge because that thick fabric Mod Podge can take forever to dry, and I didn't want to wait forever. So I just used my regular Mod Podge and went over that fabric. And that just puts an extra layer of protection. So I'm just taking that true burgundy and I am going over the word blessed with my stencil brush. As you can see, I added painter's tape all around so that I wouldn't get the burgundy inside of the pumpkin lines. And so once I have this all onto the words, then I will remove the painter tape there, and I will use a very small paintbrush to go over the pumpkin lines. I thought about drawing my blessed word and then covering it with tape so I could do the pumpkin, but I thought, you know what, I'm just going to try it with a small paintbrush and see how it works. And it actually came out really good. I was really surprised. In fact, I think it had more bleeding on the word than on the pumpkin itself, but I was able to fix the little bit of bleeding I had on the word. But I really love the way this came out. It's so pretty. And I had a subscriber, I can't remember who it was, but told me that she used this true burgundy, and so I thought, well, I'm going to try it, and yeah, I love it. So I'm going to use my little Cricut weeding tool there to poke holes in that fabric where the hanger goes. And then I'm going to add my Titebond and my hot glue on the back of that smaller round that has the stencil on it. And I'm going to add that right to the middle of my bigger round with the fabric. And then I am going to add some of my Titebond glue and my hot glue, and I'm going around the back side of this ring. And then I'm going to add that right on top of the round so it looks like a frame. I love this. When I put this together, oh, I thought I was brilliant. Anyways, I took 3 plain colored beads that I had, and these are just wood beads from Amazon. I'm taking some of that moss, and I put those beads on painter's tape to hold them in place, and then I'm just painting all around with my moss color. Then I'll turn the tape around, because I always, if I don't do that, I always end up missing some part on the other side. And then I dry it, and once it's dry, I turn those beads over and paint the top side of the bottom, or the bottom side anyways. Once they were all dry, I took some of these beads, the rest of the colored beads here I got from Amazon. They are in my Amazon store as well. And I just put them through a hanger that I had, and I'm just adding that hanger back to my wood around here. And then I took some raffia, and I'm just going to make a bow with it. And it can be a little tricky, not too bad, but I just make a little bow with it here. I love how this came out. Oh, you guys, I just love this one. Anyways, I'm going to trim it off. I'm going to cut it all down. And I don't remember where I got this. I've had this in my stash for quite a few years, but you know, you can always get it at Dollar Tree, or Walmart has it, Hobby Lobby. And there it is. I absolutely love how this came out. Oh my goodness. You have to let me know what you think about this one as well. So I'm going to start off by removing all the little stickers that are on each one of these jars, and they're pretty easy to take off. Then I took the top piece off of the lid, and then I'm cutting that piece with some pruning shears, and then I just placed it. I'm going to place it on the bottom of my candy jar. I'm using Fix All glue from Dollar Tree and hot glue, and just laying it right on the bottom. Then I painted both of those with my cashew color. And then once they were dry, I took my pencil, and I'm just drawing out a face, and I do this on both of them. Now I use a pencil because I'm not great at drawing, and so as you can see here, I had to kind of erase some areas, so that's why I use the pencil. And then I make a nose, and then I'm gonna make a big old smile. And see here again, I'm like, oh no, I don't want it straight across. I want it to be a little more up. So then I took my markers, and I am painting in all of what I just drew. So I'm coloring in the eyes with my black, and my black was not wanting to work, so I kept having to dab it. But anyways, after I had that done, I took this, I went over the mouth here. This marker has a fine point and a medium point, so I switched it over to the fine to go around the nose area, and that was the fine was really giving me problems. I think it must be drying out. Then I took my Arteza marker in the color, I don't know, bright orange or something, and I'm coloring in the nose. Then I took my markers again, and I decided to make little eyelashes for the female, because one's a boy, one's a girl. Then I'm going to color in, I guess I'm going to make little lines across the mouths first. Then I took my white marker, and I colored in just some little areas on the bottom, and then little dots on the top. I took a pink color marker, and I'm just coloring in some cheeks for the female. I did not do this for the male. Then I took one of these hula skirts from Dollar Tree, and I cut it down to where there was like 3 strands. You can tell there's 3 separate strands that have like 2 or 3 strands on each set. And I'm just taking them, and I am just going to braid, and I make 2 braids. And once I had it all braided, I used some twine to keep that tied in place. And I was just measuring there, making sure it was the right length. Decided I needed to cut it up a little bit more, make it a little shorter. And then I am going to just trim off that excess, and I just kind of unravel the bottom part there. I made 2, and then I'm just going to hot glue them, 1 on each side. And then I took some more of that hula skirt pieces that I cut off, and I'm just going around the front, hot gluing it. I probably should have made it a little thicker. It's kind of hard to see. It doesn't stand out as much, but you know what? I still love it. I trimmed it down so it had bangs, and then I went ahead and added some more, just going all the way to the braids. Now on the male, I didn't add braids, of course, but I did just cut some or add some of the hula skirt around for bangs. Then I took some of my burlap here and I'm just wrapping it around the lid area where the lid would go on these candy jars, just kind of going all the way around, also so you don't see the top parts of the hula skirt. And then I'm going to hot glue that together. And then I made a little bow, just a regular shoestring bow, and out of this ribbon from Dollar Tree, put it on the head of the female, and then I took some more of this ribbon, wrapped it around the neck part of the male. Then I just took some and just made a knot in the middle of it. I'm going to cut it down. I'm going to dovetail the ends. And then I just made another little shoestring bow, kind of just like you would make a shoe, like you tie your shoes. I make a bow that way, and I'm going to trim it and dovetail the ends as well. I'm going to put the bow on the neck of the girl, and then I'm going to put the little knotted, it's supposed to be kind of like a tie, on the bottom part of the male. And then I did add a few little sunflowers to the female, and I just filled them. The boy I filled with some wheat picks, and the female I put some wheat picks, but mainly sunflowers. And I love how these came out. They are just so adorable. Look how cute they are. You have to let me know what you think about this one as well in the comment box below. So I'm going to start off by removing the hanger from the back of this sign using my staple remover. And then after that, I'm taping off the inside portion because I know if I don't tape this off, I will get paint everywhere. If you are a better painter, then you don't have to tape it off. Then I just painted the trim of this sign as well as the back of it with that agave paint because of course I got agave on the back and I had to paint it. Then I took that little string with the fish that was wrapped around this jar. I cut it off, or I untied it, and I'm using my Fix-All glue here in the middle of this little vase, and then I am going to use some hot glue as well to attach this vase to that sign. Now I know that Dollar Tree had these this year, but if you don't have one of these, you know, you can make it with any kind of little vase or bottle. So after I had that on, I was like, why didn't I glue this on, this little ribbon, before I glued this bottle on? I tell you guys, I was on vacation too long and I am having a heck of a time trying to get everything back to normal with my crafting. I'm just kind of spacey and slow and tired and oh my goodness, but I'll get better, I promise. These I got from Walmart 2 years ago. I absolutely love these, and I kept looking for them last year hoping that they'd have them again, and they didn't. But oh my goodness, you guys, I just think these are so beautiful, and this was the last that I had, so I'm adding these into my little vase here. I just love those colors, they're so pretty. Then I got this year from Dollar Tree. I thought this was really cool looking too, and I'm just going to add this as well. And then I'm going to add this little pick. I got this was in my stash. I'm pretty sure I got from Dollar Tree. I do end up cutting the end of that down a little bit after I stuck it. It was a little too high. And then I just took a sunflower here, and I'm just going to stick a sunflower in the very front of all of that. And then I'm going to take some little twine and just make it just a regular little shoelace bow here. And I'm going to cut down the ends, and then I'm going to hot glue that right into the front of my ribbon because, you know, it has that seam there since I had to glue it to the front. But anyways, then I took my stapler and I'm just stapling on a little hanger, and that's all there was. Look how pretty that is. I absolutely love this one. You have to let me know what you think about this one as well. And it was so easy too. Taking my little finger sander and just sanding all around the front and the back and all the edges. I just feel like giving a little bit of a sanding helps that paint adhere a little bit better, because I know paint doesn't necessarily like to stick to metal so much. So after I had it all sanded down, I took a wipey and just wiped it all off, and then I painted it front and back with my ivory chalk paint, and then I also did the same with that little wood round. Then I took one of these splatter screens. These are the exact same size as the inside of that pizza pan. So I laid it out on my sweater here, and I'm just using it as a template to cut around, and then I'm just going to cut this sweater out. Then I went with my very heavy, thick fabric Mod Podge, which I'm almost out of. I need to get more. And I'm just going to brush it all around the inside of my pan. And then I take my sweater piece here, and I'm just going to lay it all out inside of my pan. And then after I have that all laid out, I decided it needed something more. So I took some of this tubing, mesh tubing, and I'm just going to hot glue it all the way around between the edge of that sweater and the edge of the inside part of the pizza pan, just like you see right there. And after I have this all done, I was like, okay, there's just, for me, there's too much white. So you'll see, I'll show you here in a minute. I think I'm getting ahead of myself of what I'm going to do, but I'm just going to finish hot gluing this, cut it off, and then I am going to add my decals to this wood piece. And I'm just adding this circle part. Now, like I said, I got this off Cricut Design Space. It was already created, but it is made so that you can ungroup it if you want to do different colors. So I did the hello weather in a gold color. I did the round part in the black, and then I did this sweater color, or the color was more of a copper color, and I thought this would be perfect for what I'm doing. Then I took some of this vintage distressed oxide, and I went around to do like some distressing, but I wasn't quite happy with the way it was looking. So I then, this is called Vintage Photo, by the way. So then I took my finger and I just kind of started smearing it, and I thought, okay, I like that better, but it was still not quite looking the way I wanted it. So I did take a really small paintbrush and that worn penny and just kind of went around the edge of it as well. Then I took that worn penny and I very slowly, I have this really sped up, this is how slow I was going, brushed it along the edge of my pizza pan, because this is where I was like, okay, it's just, for me, it's too white. It needs a little bit more color. So once that was dry, I took some tacky glue. Why I'm using all these different glues, I don't know. It's just what I grabbed. And then I took my hot glue, and the hot glue, of course, again, is for the immediate hold. And I'm just going to lay that right on top of that sweater. I took some of this ribbon. I got this, I think, last year at Dollar Tree, and I'm just making a bow by doing the awareness ribbon, scrunching it up, and using the twine again to secure that bow in place. And then I will dovetail the ends of this one, and you dovetail by folding your ends together and then cutting at an angle downward. You can cut upwards as well. It does give it a little bit different shape, I think. Then I hot glued it to my top of my pan here, and I just kind of tacked the edges down so it didn't cover the words. These leaves I got last year from Hobby Lobby. I know they have them again, but they come in a pack with some really dark blue, pretty beautiful leaves. And I thought I had more of these leaves, but I could only find the two. So I thought, well, I think 2 will be enough. And I really do like the way this came out. It's not too much, because I didn't want to overwhelm that sweater. So then I took some more of that tubing, because I felt like that bow just needed something more. So I made a little bow with it, and I'm going to hot glue it there. One of the legs was kind of wonky, so I just went ahead and just kind of tacked it down as well with some hot glue. Then I just felt like, okay, it needs just a little bit more. So I took some more of that mesh tubing, and I'm just going to hot glue it all the way around my little round wood sign there. And then I took some more of that mesh tubing, tied knots on the ends, and hot glued them to the back as a hanger. And that's all there was for this one. I absolutely love how this came out. Oh my gosh, I think it is beautiful. You have to let me know what you think about this one in the comment box as well. But before I painted it, I took some alcohol and I am just wiping my candlesticks and jars down really well. Then I took some E6000 and I'm just going to put it along the sides of my candlestick here. And then I'm going to use some hot glue where I didn't put the E6000, and then I'm just going to set my candle or my jars on top of those candlesticks. Then I took them outside and painted them with my white spray paint. Once they were all dry, I am taking some Waverly chalk paint in the color pumpkin, and I'm going to paint the jars with that orange. Now you might be asking, why did I spray paint them and then paint over them with the white? And I mainly did it because I was using that spray paint more like a primer, especially with glass, because you know, sometimes paint doesn't want to stick to glass. So I'm using that paint more like a primer. So I am just going to go over each pumpkin, and once it was dry, I took my antique wax and I'm just brushing along through the little crevices along this what I'm calling a pumpkin, because I think it looks like a pumpkin, and I absolutely adore these. I love how these came out. I went ahead and did a little distressing around the top there, just like you see me doing. And then I did the same thing. I painted the lid with the orange as well, and then did the distressing. Then I went down to my candlestick and I'm going to cover it with my antique wax. Now I love doing this because a lot of times you can see bits of that white sticking through, and it kind of makes it look like real wood, and I love it. So I'm just kind of brushing it all along until because you kind of have some brush marks, and I just keep brushing it until it's at a point where I like it. And then you want to let it dry for quite a while. Probably overnight is a good amount of time. So I am just going to take some hot glue here, and I'm going to wrap the bottom part with some of my twine that I got from Walmart, and I just wrap it around about three or four times, I don't remember, and this just kind of gives it a little more rustic look, and I love rustic. And then I decided to do the same thing around the lid. Now I'm not going on the bottom and covering the lid because I want to be able to remove the lid, and I thought about maybe trying to put some fairy lights in it, maybe to see if it lights up. It might be too dark with all the paint. But anyways, I went ahead and just covered the lid again with some more twine. And then I'm just going to glue it. And I did glue it in little spots here and there just to make sure it stays in place. After that, I took a piece of wood. This is from Dollar Tree. It comes in a little package of wood pieces. Then I took some berry pick here and or pipberry, and I'm wrapping it around, coiling it around one of my paintbrushes, and then I just wrap it around that stem, and then I just kind of tacked some of it down with some hot glue on both sides there. And after I had that done, I went ahead and added some more hot glue along the top of my lid, and then I'm gonna add some Spanish moss, and I do that on both the top or both sides of that lid, just like you see me doing right here. And once I had that all the way I liked it, I think I'm going to give it a little bit of a haircut here, trim off some of those pieces. Then I took an acorn. I got this acorn, I don't know when, a while back from Hobby Lobby. You can still get them at Hobby Lobby, and just glued one in there. Now I'm going to make a finger bow, but I'm going to go over my fingers 3 times, and then I'm going to cut off a long tail. Then I'm going to wrap that tail around those loops that are on my finger, come back around and go through the loop that I just made around those loops on my finger, and then I pull really tight. After that, I'm just going to trim off the bottom of the ribbon, and I'm going to hot glue that on the bottom, and there it is. And I made 2 of those, so they are about $4 each, and I love them. And if you don't have those candlesticks, you could use any kind of candlesticks from Dollar Tree, but I absolutely love the way these came out. Oh, I think they are just beautiful. You'll have to let me know what you think about these in the comment box. So I started off by marking, I don't remember what the lengths were. I think it was like 6 or 7, and then 4.5, and then the rest. I painted the top and the bottom with the pumpkin. I painted the middle, the plaque with the white, and then I painted the paint stick with the pumpkin as well. Once they were all dry, I went around and just sanded the edges of all of this stick. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I grabbed my sanding sponge from Dollar Tree and did the same thing on my Scarecrow. I went around and just sanded the edges so that you could see it. It would have a little bit of that worn look. After that, I just did some really light distressing with my antique wax, going over this little stick with it, and then I'm going to do the same thing all over my little Scarecrow. If you don't like distressing and you want to recreate this, you know, just make it your own. Don't do the distressing, but I really enjoy distressing. I love the look. And so that's why I do it. And then I decided, of course, this was too white for me. So I went ahead and distressed this as well. Then I took a pencil here and I'm just trying to draw in a face for my Scarecrow. And I always like doing this because I am not a drawer. Really, I can't really do freehand like a lot of people do. In fact, I had my laptop up and I was just kind of copying what I was looking at. After I had everything drawn in, I'm taking this paint marker that I had and I'm coloring in the eyes, and then I'm coloring in the mouth. And then I am going to use another paint marker, an orange one of my Arteza paint markers, and I'm just going to color in the triangle nose here. And then I'm going to use my black paint marker again, and I'm going to go in and, I'm going to use this blue metallic and my white metallic markers from Dollar Tree and color in some of the eyes. And then I'm using my black Sharpie to make the little stitch lines on the mouth, and I was going to do it on the nose too, and I forgot. Anyways, I took my wood glue and hot glue, and I'm gluing that stick onto my Scarecrow so it looks like a hat. Then I'm going to hot glue this ribbon on around the neck of my Scarecrow. Now, I don't know why I'm doing it this way, but this is just the way I was doing it. I should have, now that I look at this too, grab some raffia and add some raffia for hair for the Scarecrow. But you know what? It doesn't matter because I really love him just the way he is. I'm just going to continue and go around and hot glue this ribbon all the way around. You guys, I don't know why I did it this way, but yeah, and I don't know why I showed you all of this because I really didn't need to. Oh my goodness. So I'm just going to get this all hot glued together all the way around my little Scarecrow like you see. And then after I had that all done, I took some more of that ribbon. This ribbon actually I got from Dollar Tree either last year or the year before. It's been in my stash. I have like 3 totes of fall crafts, you guys. And I'm trying to use it. I'm trying not to buy much from Dollar Tree because I want to use all of this. So I'm just making a bow by doing the awareness ribbon, scrunching it up in the middle, and then tying some jute twine around the middle. And then I'm going to dovetail the ends, which you just fold in your ends and then cut at an angle, cutting downward. And then after that, I am going to fluff it, and then I'm going to hot glue it right to the front of my cute little Scarecrow, just like that. Then I decided to take some more of this ribbon. I'm cutting the gold. I didn't really like the gold, but I wanted to look a little more worn, so I'm pulling some of the threads and they came off really easy. And then I'm just going to hot glue it down on the bottom just like that, so it looks like a patch. Then I did another one for the hat. I'm going to glue that right on top. And then I decided to do a little more embellishments, and I found in my stash one of these little leaves with a button. And then I found these leaves. All of those leaves actually came from Hobby Lobby. They were in my stash, but I think you could probably find them this year too. Seems like you see them every year. I put one of those on the bow, and then I found one of these little resin pumpkins from Hobby Lobby as well, added it to the hat. Then I'm going to use my wood glue and hot glue and glue my Scarecrow onto the base. But first I hit my camera with, with the Scarecrow. So sorry about the shaking. Then I'm going to go through and hot glue some of these leaves on there. And then I'm going to hot hot glue the little hay bales. These are so stinking cute. And then after that, I took some of these pumpkins. I cut the bottom stem. I do trim off the top stems because the top stick on them is like really, really long on a lot of them. So I just cut it down so it looks a little more like a stem on a pumpkin. And then I hot glued them onto the bales. And then I took some of these little mini sunflowers that came from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to hot glue them on the bales as well. And there he is. He is so cute. You guys, my husband wanted me to put some googly eyes like on sticks coming around him. I don't know what he's thinking, but he wanted me to put googly eyes like someone's looking from behind the Scarecrow. So I started off by painting the craft stick with my ink and the top part of my mason jar with ink and then the bottom part with truffle. And I did this front and back. Once they were all dry, I am using my pencil here to kind of draw out the face. I know it's hard for you to see. I could barely see it myself, but I cannot draw freehand on my own. I really can't. So I did get something off Pinterest that I saw that I thought was great. It was this turkey face thing, but it was on a different, I don't know, boards or something. But I thought, okay, I'm going to trace this face out on my little mason jar here. So I don't know what they call that red part on a turkey. Does anyone know? If you do, let me know in the comment box. But that's what that red part was. And then I'm just using my maze here to paint out the beak. I had to change out to a really small brush there so I could get close to the red without, going over it. So then I'm going to start over on the other side of the beak and get that all painted in here too. You'll see that in just a sec. And yeah, it's a big beak, huh? Once I have this all painted, then I dried it. And then I took a white paint marker and I'm making the eyes. But after I make them, look how crooked they are. Like I said, I'm not good at freehand. So I decided to start painting in the middle of the eyes there, but it just wasn't turning out. It was kind of I don't know if my pin's drying out or what. So I decided to just go ahead and get my white paint and a paintbrush, and I just ended up painting it in. And yeah, that one it's not very round, huh? It's got some flat spots. Oh my goodness. I should have found something to trace really, but oh well, it is what it is, right? It makes it more whimsical and fun. So after I had the eyes all painted in, I put one little dot here by that red thing, and then I took my black marker and I'm just painting the eyeballs of the turkey on the top part of the eyes, trying to make these a little more even too, but it's kind of hard when the white part is not very even itself, but it's fun. So once I have this all colored and painted in, then I'm going to take my I'm still taking the black. I'm trying to make some eyelashes. It's really hard to see those eyelashes against that brown. I probably should have used the thicker side of my marker, but here I'm trying to make the little lines on the beak of the turkey. My pen was not wanting to work because I don't know. Anyways, okay, so I took a different marker. This is my Arteza paint marker. It's one of the blue colors. I don't remember the color. Just going to color in underneath his eyeball. And again, I'm not doing this freehand. I am copying something off of Pinterest because I cannot do this kind of stuff myself. But, I think the more I copy, the more I'll learn and the more I'll figure it out on my own, right? So once I had that all colored in, I took my white marker here and made a little dot in there for the pupil, and then just kind of made a few little light dots on his eyes. After that, I took my decal and I'm putting it onto my craft stick here, and then I'm going to use again my Titan. What is that? Yeah, is it Tight Bond? No, what is it? Yeah, Tight Bond. I don't know why I'm anyways, okay, Tight Bond and hot glue. And I put that on the back of my craft stick and added it to my mason jar. And then I took my maze here and I'm just going to paint kind of like that little buckle that you see like on a pilgrim. I guess this is a little pilgrim turkey dude. I don't know. Oh my goodness, but I think he's so cute. I think it's fun and whimsical, which is what I was going for. And I'll tell you guys, I was started 2 other projects and decided I just did not want to do. Like I said, I'm getting tired of fall, and they were just, I don't know. I just wasn't feeling it. I really wanted something whimsical, so I quickly scrapped those ideas and started something new. So here I'm just making him a little bow tie. I took this ribbon, hot glued the ends together, and then scrunched them in the middle and took some twine to keep it scrunched. And then I'm just going to hot glue this down by his neck so this little turkey has a bow tie. And then once I have him this hot glued, I'm just going to kind of hot glue the ends of the bows there to keep them down. Then I took my big mouth crocodile and I'm making some holes so that I can add a hanger, and then I'm just going to add some jute twine for a hanger. And that's really all there was for this cute little whimsical turkey. And there he is. You have to let me know what you think about him as well. Oh my gosh, I think he's adorable. So I started off by painting one side of that cup, truffle and the coffee latte and those circles with the white. Once they were done, I took the truffle here in a small paintbrush and I'm just drawing lines across the top here where it's painted the coffee latte. I also did this on the bottom because I painted the bottom part with the coffee latte. And you guys, I have this really sped up. This shows how slow I'm going just because yeah, I don't always make the straightest lines, so I was trying to be careful. So once those were dry, I took my orange and another small paintbrush and I'm going in diagonal opposite of the brown lines that I just did. And I'm just gonna go, I don't know what I'm doing here. I think I was kind of thinking it over, trying to think, okay, am I doing this? Is it going to look good? I don't know. Anyways, once I had, and I did the top and the bottom again. Once those were dry, I took some white and another small paintbrush, and I am just going opposite of the orange, just like you see. And then, and again, I do this on top and bottom, and then I went opposite direction that I just went with that white, just like you see. After that, I took my black Sharpie marker and I'm just drawing lines across this. This is like the sleeve of the cup. And then I painted, I don't know why I'm showing you this again, but I painted those white. Then I took my decals and I am just adding on the one white circle, I'm adding pumpkin spice. And then I'm going to add Happy Season to the cup. And then after that, I'm going to use my Tite Bond glue and hot glue to glue that white. Do you see that? I started to drop it and put my finger right in the glue. So I'm just going to put this or hot glue this onto the middle of my cup. And I don't know about you guys, but I used to love, then I took one of these resin pumpkins and stuck it in the middle. I painted the other side with the truffle, the crimson, and the white. I was going to say I used to absolutely love pumpkin spice. I'm kind of changing my flavor. I mean, I kind of like it, but not really anymore. I don't know. It's weird. Anyways, once this was dry, I took my paintbrush and my white here, and I'm just making little snowflakes all the way across the front, the top and the bottom. Then I took my embossing tool and I just went around the brown and made all kinds of white little polka dots. Once those were dry, I'm taking my decals and it's going to say Merry Season. And then the middle white round says Peppermint Mocha. I love peppermint mocha, especially around Christmas time. And then I'm going to glue that on just like I did on the other side. After that, I took some of these peppermints. I got these last year from Hobby Lobby, and they have a little hole to hang for an ornament. I cut them off and I just glued it right there in the middle. Then I was going to use my big mouth crocodile to make holes, but I could not get it to go all the way through. This wood was too thick, so I ended up using my drill. Then I took some of this ribbon and I made a little bow. I'm going to hot glue it right there. And then I took some of this ribbon. This is, I don't know where I got this. It was in my stash. I'm making another ribbon, doing the awareness ribbon, scrunching it up in the middle, taking some twine and tightening that twine. I'm going to tie a knot in that twine as soon as I have the twine right where I want it. And then trim that off, and then I'm going to dovetail the ends by folding it in half and then cutting at an angle. After that, I am going to, I have the ends of the hanger on this side, and I didn't want you to see it, so I'm kind of hiding it with my bow, like you see there. I glued it down, and then I glued this one down, and I took 3 more of those peppermints from Hobby Lobby. These are in the miniature section for the miniature Christmas trees, and I cut all the little hanger parts off, and then I'm just going to glue this all around the other end of that hanger so you don't see it. And you guys, I absolutely adore this project. I love how this came out. Oh, it is my favorite of all the fall DIYs that I've done this year. I think this is my favorite, but you have to let me know what you think about this. Here is the pumpkin spice side, and then here is the peppermint mocha. Oh, I love it. I can't wait to get me a peppermint mocha. So I'm going to take one of these 8x10 canvases from Dollar Tree. I'm going to use this beautiful burnt orange paint, and I'm going to paint the whole canvas, front and sides. Now I have seen these all over Facebook. I've seen them called exploding canvases or busted canvases. And I just thought they were so cool, and I had to make one. So if you've seen it before, I apologize, but it was new to me and I was really excited to make them. So I'm going to take some of this paper from Hobby Lobby. I'm going to trim it down to fit on the inside part of my canvas. I'm going to use my Mod Podge there and just brush it all along the inside part of my canvas. And I did do a pretty heavy coat or thicker coat because the canvas does soak it in. Then I laid my paper just like you see it with the right side of the print facing up. And then once I had it all smushed into that Mod Podge, I just went around it again and added some more. And then I went around the front. I had marked where I needed it, and I'm just going to place it or brush it on the Mod Podge, that is, all around where I am going to need it. Then I took this napkin. I believe this came from Hobby Lobby. I removed the 2 plies that were behind it, and I laid it down just like it is, just like you see me doing. Then I'm just going to go over it again with some more Mod Podge to help protect it from any ripping and all that stuff. After that, now you want a sharp X-Acto knife or box cutter. I've seen people use scissors, but I am just cutting. I first cut down the middle, and then I'm cutting down the sides here. Then I'm going to cut at diagonals. So you'll just see what I'm doing right here. Just going to cut each section diagonally there. And this was pretty easy to do. I had to change out my blade for my X-Acto knife because it was kind of dull, and luckily I had one to change it out with because that was a lifesaver. Then I turned it around, and I'm gonna start rolling those pieces and gluing them in place just like you see me doing right there. And you guys, that burnt orange color by Americana, the Deco Art Americana burnt orange, oh my gosh, I am loving this color. So after I had it all done, I'm gonna use my hot glue, and I don't know why I didn't use my Titebond glue. I don't know, but I am going to glue it to where my napkin is. I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you that I put the napkin on a thin canvas from Dollar Tree, 8x10, but you could use cardboard. It doesn't have to be the canvas. You just need a backing to put it on. So I glued the top canvas to the bottom canvas. Then I decided to go ahead and start filling the bottom corner with some sunflowers, since there's sunflowers in that napkin. I'm going to take some of this ribbon that came from Hobby Lobby, and then the brown ribbon, I don't know what you call it, mesh ribbon or whatever, from Dollar Tree. And then this is some ribbon I had in my stash from Hobby Lobby as well. And I'm just doing the awareness ribbon and scrunching them up in the middle. I'm going to use some twine to go around them and tie them all together. And then once I have them all tight, I'm going to trim off, or I'm going to cut off that tail of the orange ribbon, and then I'm going to dovetail the ends, and you just fold in half and cut at an angle to dovetail. Just gives it a nice finished look. Then I'm just going to use my hot glue, and I'm going to glue it right into the left hand top corner, and then I'm going to add a little sunflower. Well, then I decided that wasn't enough, so I filled in the whole bottom of this canvas with sunflowers, and then I'm going to glue some in where the napkin is, and that's, I just, this is supposed to be exploding, and I thought how fun would it to make it look like it's exploding with sunflowers. So I took 4 tumbling tower blocks, glued them end to end, painted them with that burnt orange, and then used my Tite Bond Quick and Thick multi-purpose glue and hot glue to make a stand, and there it is. I love how this came out. I think it is so beautiful. I can't wait to do this exploding canvas for some Christmas DIYs. I think it's going to be so much fun. It's so amazing. You have to let me know if you've seen these as well. Wood planks from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to fill the holes with some spackling, and then I'm going to paint the top probably about 6 inches with my favorite new fall color, the burnt orange by Decor. And then once I had that done, in fact I did do the front and the back. I also took one of these jumbo craft sticks from Walmart, and I am going to paint that front and back with the same color as well. And then after that, I took some paint that I mixed together to make more of a flesh tone, and I'll show that here a little later. And I'm going to paint about another 6 inches down as well. And then I took my ocean chalk paint by Waverly, and I'm going to paint the rest of the bottom part of this hanging sign. Then I'm going to create a scarecrow face, and I'm using my paint markers that I have, and then I'm just going to color in my eyes. Now, many of you, if you've watched me for a while, you know that I am no artist. I usually have a picture pulled up next to me on my laptop, and I kind of go by what I see. This DIY plus the next one are Pinterest inspired. I saw these things on Pinterest and thought I would love to recreate them. So I am looking at the pictures, because when it comes to drawing on faces, I'm just not good at it. So I have to, I guess you could say, cheat. I have to look at other drawings so that I can make my own. So anyways, I just created the face there using different paint markers. And then I'm going to use my wood glue and hot glue to glue this craft stick onto my hat. And then I took some burlap. I believe I got this burlap from Hobby Lobby a while ago, but I cut a piece off, and I'm just going to glue the bottom and the side together. And then I turned it inside out so that that seam would be on the inside. And then I took this board from Dollar Tree and I went over it with my Waverly Antique Wax. Then I also took a couple of tumbling tower blocks. Now these had antique wax already on them from a previous DIY that I didn't use. And then I added my Tite Bond Quick and Thick multi-purpose glue and hot glue to the tumbling tower blocks and added them to the back of my Scarecrow. And then I'm just going to add the same glue on the bottom and glue him right onto that board. Then I'm going to take my bag here. I'm going to add a block of floral foam. That floral foam I got in a package of, I don't know, there's like 6 of them from Hobby Lobby. I'm just going to stick it right inside of my bag. And then I'm going to use my hot glue, and I'm just going to go all the way around the bottom of that and glue that thing right down in front of my Scarecrow. Then I'm going to just take all kinds of different fall floral picks, some leaves and flowers and wheat, and I'm just going to start adding them all to the inside of my bag so that we have just this beautiful array of fall colors coming out of the bag. So then I took some ribbon, I'm gluing it to the back of my bag, and then I'm like, wait, I should have glued that to the back of the Scarecrow. So I took my ribbon, I just wrapped it around the front of the bag, and then I just brought it back alongside the Scarecrow and then glued it to the back of my Scarecrow, and then glued that in right back where it started. Then I'm going to take some more of that ribbon and make a bow by doing the awareness ribbon shape and then scrunching it up in the middle. And I'm going to tie some twine around it to just hold it in place. And then I'm going to dovetail the ends. And you do that by folding in half, cutting at an angle, and then I just use hot glue to glue it in front of my little bag. And there he is. Isn't this just so adorable? Oh my gosh. I just love this. I hope you do too. Let me know in the comment box below. These are the paints that I used to make that flesh color. It was Coffee Latte, Snow White, and Seashell Pink. And I'm just going to use this color to paint this. This is a 12-inch wood round, I believe, from Dollar Tree. Painted the front and the back. And then I'm going to take my paint markers, and as you can see, I used my pencil to draw in this face, and then I am going to use my paint markers to color it in. This face is a little different. Of course, this is one from Pinterest as well. And I am just going to continue drawing in my face. I wish I didn't have to look at pictures to draw. Maybe I'll get there one day. I know Kathy Jo, if you haven't seen her previous video, she recreated that really big Scarecrow girl that I made. And when she showed it to me before she got her video up, I was talking to her and she showed it to me. I was like, your face is so cute. It's going to be better than mine. Because she can just do it. She's so good, and I can't. But anyways, I love her. Yeah, I'm just going to continue with my markers here. Now, I used a red pen instead of an orange pen there. Yeah, I don't know why. I just did. I grabbed the wrong pen probably. Anyways, I took a 14-inch round wreath form from Dollar Tree. I'm taking 2 of these hula skirts from Dollar Tree, and as you can see, I zip tied the tops of them to the top of my wreath form. I took a big bundle of that, and I'm going to use another zip tie here to tie it to the wreath form, and I left some not tied in just to help kind of cover the zip ties there. And then I am going to take another zip tie. I think I did, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 zip ties, I think. Four for the, I think for the, this is the hair for the Scarecrow. So, but I'm going to use some separate zip ties for the painting that I just did. So the wood round here, I just took my zip tie and strung it through where the hanger holes were, and then I'm just going to attach it to my wreath form. Then once it was attached, I took some more burlap. I'm going to glue it to the front, and then I'm going to glue the burlap to the back of my wreath form so that I can make a hat. Then I'm going to take, I'm just going to scrunch up the middle or the top part of the hat, and I am going to take some twine and tie it tightly there so she has a little like beanie. You know what I should have done now that I'm thinking about it? I should have had some of the skirt thingy coming out of the top of the hat. That would have been really cute. Anyways, I just thought of that. As you can see, I put a hole through the bottom of my wood round there because I wanted to add a zip tie to the bottom too to just hold it in place. Then I'm just going to add some different leaves and some sunflowers to the bottom. And then I'm also going to add some to her hat, and I think I'm going to bring this down so you can see it. Yeah. And some leaves, and then I'm going to add some to her hair. And I love how this came out. I just think she is so stinking adorable. And then I just added a hanger to the back, and that's all there was. Super easy, but look how cute she is. Oh my goodness, I just love her. I hope you do too. Let me know in the comment box below. I took 2 of these small pots and 2 of these, what do they call them? Trays? I don't know what they call them. But anyways, I got those from Hobby Lobby this summer. They had them on clearance, so of course I had to get them. I painted them with my ivory, and then I painted the top and the rim there with the worn penny. And here I'm using a pencil. This is what I do. I always like to use a pencil to trace out the lines or the face because I do a lot of erasing. I don't know how many times I went over that nose, and I just could not get a triangle for the life of me. I kept making it and it was crooked and uneven, and I kept having to erase it and redraw it, but I finally got it. I told you guys I'm not good when it comes to this part of it. But anyways, I am going to paint in the face just like I did on all the previous ones, and it is really fun, you guys, to paint these. It's just enjoyable to see it come to life, but I'm just kind of going around and painting my little face and seeing them come to life. But and yes, I did actually, you know what, this is Pinterest inspired. This is kind of Pinterest inspired because I actually did a gingerbread person, guy, I think it's a guy, I don't know, out of these pots, a little bigger pot actually from the ones from Dollar Tree. A year or two ago for Christmas, I did a gingerbread candle holder. And I've done quite a few different little things with these pots as far as making bees, and there's ladybug. No, what else did I make? I can't remember, but I love them. I think they are so cute. Oh, a cow. Oh my gosh, I made an adorable cow. Anyways, so it's kind of Pinterest inspired, but also I thought, oh my goodness, it would be so much fun to have these by my tier tray on my island, since that's what I do with my gingerbread guys. So that's why I decided to make these. So I took some more of that hula skirt from Dollar Tree, and I am just braiding it for my girl. And you guys, if you recreate this, I would suggest adding the hair or the raffia, whatever, if you're going to add it for hair, to do that before you glue the lid or cover top, whatever it is, tray on top of the pot, because it would be much easier. And I do this every time. My husband came in and I said, every single time I make these things, I think, oh, don't forget to add the hair first. And then I forget. And then I'm like, I did it again. But anyways, I just added a little flower there. I just added some little lights on it, and you can see those cute little squirrels. I got those from Hobby Lobby. I added a couple squirrels in there. I just think they are so adorable. Oh my goodness. You have to let me know what you think too. So for this DIY, I took 3 of those wood hanging signs you get from Dollar Tree. I'm taking my giant craft sticks from Walmart. I'm going to attach those 3 together using those craft sticks with wood glue and hot glue. Then I'm going to fill in all of those hanger holes with my spackling, and then paint the front and the back with my Waverly chalk paint in the color Ivory. I created these stencils with my Cricut, and I just laid them in place. And I am going to remove my transfer tape there, and then I am going to start painting them. Excuse me. I'm going to use, I think this was spiced pumpkin on the word thankful. And I'm just dabbing it on, just like you see, using a stencil brush. And then after I was done with the word thankful, I'm going to use Moss by Waverly for the word grateful. And then I'm going to use the Decor Metallic Rich Espresso for the blessed. Once I removed all of that vinyl, I'm going to take my little pick here and just remove all the little pieces. And then I also created, well, I didn't create, I got the leaf pattern from what is it called? Cricut Design Space. Oh my goodness. It's too early in the morning. And I'm just going to go over it. I'm going to put a leaf on the front and the back side of each of my words. And I use the same colors. I just kind of alternated the colors so that each plank has all 3 colors in it, if that makes sense. So once I had them all done, and I'll remove the vinyl there, and then I will use my pick again to remove all the little pieces that are inside of the leaves. Then I decided to do something. I originally wasn't planning on doing this, but it just came to me, so I decided to go with it. I took my Mod Podge, and I'm just going to brush all the way around the edges. I took some of this beautiful napkin from Hobby Lobby that has all the leaves. I removed the backing from it, and using some double-sided tape. And then I'm laying my napkin down, covering it with my parchment paper, and then using that heat press to reactivate the Mod Podge so it sticks again. Once I had that all done, I went over it all with some more Mod Podge to help protect that napkin. And then I decided to go ahead and go over the whole sign with Mod Podge because I wanted it to all have that same look. I didn't want you to see where the brush marks were for the Mod Podge was. While I was doing that, I realized that on the top here, I put the wrong side of the napkin. I had a straight side and a side that I cut that wasn't so straight, and it was getting on my nerves. So I decided to go ahead and take some of this braided jute cord that I get from Amazon. I love this stuff. And I'm just going to outline it just kind of like a frame. And you guys, I love how this picture came out. I'm going to hang this up in my living room, that's for sure. I marked some spots, and then I'm going to use my crocodile, my big mouth crocodile. This is in my Amazon store if you're interested in it. It's very handy. I'm going to make some holes for my hanger, and then I just put some tape on the end of some more of that braided jute cord, and I'm going to just string that through, tie some knots on the ends, and then I have a hanger, and I love this so much. I hope you guys like it too. I just think it's beautiful. I love all those colors. You have to let me know what you think about this in the comment box below. I'm going to take two of these wood acorns. Now, I got these from a wood garland from Hobby Lobby last year after fall. I don't even remember. I think it was in August or September. They had it. Maybe it was September. They had them 90% off. And so it was less than $1. And so these are really nice size. I traced some of that paper that you saw, and then I'm going to paint some beads as well as to those acorns with my rich espresso. Once they were dry, I went ahead and added some Mod Podge. I went a little too crazy with the Mod Podge there. Went a little heavy-handed there. And I'm just going to add my paper. I have my heat press there, and then I added my paper and went, wait, I guess I'm not using my heat press. But anyways, it works okay this way with paper. I'm just going to cover it again with some more Mod Podge for the protection. My grandson was playing with that tassel there. He thought it was cool. He thought it looked like a broom. He doesn't know I was filming. That's funny. Anyways, so once I had that all covered, I am going to take my beads now. If you recreate this, make sure you are putting the beads on the right side of the acorn, because you'll see in a little bit my acorns don't match because I put them on the wrong side. I should have had my stem leaning the other direction but I got all of these on these beads. And another good thing about using this type bond is you can still move these around at first, so it gives you time to move them if they're not in the right spots. Then I went ahead and used that type bond again and covered the top of my beads, and then I go to put my acorn on, and I went, oh no, like Kathy Joe. Oh no. Oh, I'm like, oh, what did I do? And I'm like, well, I don't really want to. This was at night, guys. This is why I don't like crafting at night. And I'm like, I don't want to have to try and pull all of those off. I'll probably have to repaint stuff if I do. So I decide, okay, I'm just going to see. It's not that bad. I'm going to take some of this braided jute cord that I love, and I'm just going to wrap it around the top and the bottom and see if that kind of helps cover the beads from where it wasn't really sitting right because it wasn't matching. And it did really work. I think it turned out really cute. I don't think you could really notice unless you look really closely. So then I took some of these little wooden spools that I got from Hobby Lobby. I painted 3 of them with my rich espresso color. And then I'm just going to use my type bond again to add them on the bottom as little feet. And then we have this adorable little riser. I love this. I wanted something to put. I have a fall candle that is by where I sit on the couch, and I wanted something to set it on, and I love how this came out. You have to let me know what you think about this one as well. And here is the fun. So I'm going to take this 12-inch wood round from Dollar Tree and paint front and back with my ivory, and then I'm going to create a scarecrow face. Now I'm using my black paint marker here, making some eyes. I'm going to color in the bottom part of my eyes, and then I'm going to continue on with the rest of the face. As you can see, I did use a pencil to outline it and then went over the rest with my markers. Now, I got this idea off of Poshmark. It's a site where people sell things, and I saw this and they're trying to sell it for $40, and I thought I could make that. So I thought I would give it a try, and you guys, this is just awesome. So after I have this face all done, oh, I'm going to use, this is Pink Blush by Apple Barrel for the cheeks. And I believe the nose I used the pumpkin spiced pumpkin by Decor. So after I had the face done, I took some of this hula skirt and I cut, I think, like six sections. And then I cut them in half. No, I didn't cut them in half. I'm going to tie them with some jute twine to keep them together. And then I'm going to glue them on top of the head. Then I'm going to take some more of that hula skirt and I'm going to glue it on the top with my hot glue, and then I will give it a nice little haircut so that the bangs aren't too crazy. Then I took this sign from Dollar Tree. I'm going to remove that starfish there, and I was going to leave the paper on, but I'm going to add some fabric to it, and I could still see the word beach. So I decided to just remove the blue part of the paper. I left the rest of the paper on there because you're not going to see it, and then I'm just going to use my hot glue to glue the fabric to the front of my sign. And I also glued it on the back, and I am just turning the edges down inward, folding it, whatever you want to call it. But anyways, I just wanted to have a nice even edge. Didn't want to see all the raw fabric there. And then I took some more fabric. Now, I wish I would have done this differently. I wish I would have put the glue on the right side, folded it together, and then it'd be inside out, and then you just put your hand through it and bring the right side out. But I don't know why I did it this way. So I just did. And I'm just, again, I was gluing the edges down and then glue it together. Yeah, but anyways, you'll see what I'm talking about when I do the legs, because I did one of the legs the right way. It was a mess. Anyways, I am going to glue those arms to the corner of my sign. Then I'm using a pin here to mark where I want to lay the head, and I'm going to use my Tight Bond Quick and Thick multi-purpose glue and hot glue, and I'm going to attach my head right to the body. Then I'm going to take some giant craft sticks and my Tight Bond Quick and Thick multi-purpose glue and hot glue to add some sticks to it to give it more reinforcement strength. I don't know what I'm thinking. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyways, I'm going to just make a regular shoestring bow with that ribbon, and then I'm going to glue it to where her neck and body meet. Then I'm going to take this hat from Dollar Tree, this straw hat. I'm going to use my hot glue. I'm going to attach it to the head, and this thing is so stinking cute. Wait till you guys see the end. I'm going to also glue it to the back, and then I'm going to take some twine and go around her hair to make little ponytails. And I'm just going to tie that tight. And then I'm going to take some more of that same ribbon that I used for her bow. And I'm just going to cut a little piece, and I'm just going to glue that around the twine there, so that kind of looks like ribbon on her bow or on her hair. Anyways, you could make a bow too. I should have done that. That would have been really cute. But anyways, I added a hanger. I took some more of the hula skirt and a bunch of it together, and then using my twine again to tie it tight. And then I'm going to hot glue it to the inside part of my sleeve so that it looks like hay coming out of her arms or her sleeves. And then after that, I'm going to take my tacky glue and hot glue. Now this is the right side of the fabric that I'm using for her legs. And I'm going to glue those two together and then let it sit for a few minutes. And then I'm going to put my hand through it and then pull the right side so that it comes out just like that. And I only did one leg because I thought about it after I did the other one, but that's okay because it's going to stay here. I'm going to keep it for myself, and I'm not worried about it. So anyways, as you can see, I used my pinking shears to cut the bottom part of the pants, tied some twine around it. Now I'm filling it with some plastic bags. And then I'm going to glue some more of that skirt inside of that and on the bottom part of the legs, and then glue the top part together. And then I'm going to hot glue it to the back of my sign. And then I took some orange fabric and I used my pinking shears to cut it out. And then I'm going to glue that around her waist, give her a little skirt. And then I took this board from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to take this burlap from Hobby Lobby, and I am going to glue it around my board. And then I'm going to take this orange gingham ribbon from Dollar Tree. I'm going to glue that around the top and around the bottom. And then I am going to take a word, the welcome word. I'm pretty sure this came from Walmart, and I'm going to paint it with the spiced pumpkin. And then I'm going to use, again, my Tite Bond quick and thick multi-purpose glue and hot glue to glue this onto that board. Then I'm going to glue the sleeves down, and then I'm going to glue the board on top. Now I wish I would have brought it out more to the side so it looked like she was holding it, but it is what it is. I added some cute flowers to the hat, and look how adorable she is. And you guys, this thing's got to be like 4 feet. It is so big, but yes, so fun. I think it would be so much fun to have on your front door or back door or whatever, but I just love it. You have to let me know what you think about this in the comment box below. So I'm going to take 3 10-inch wood chunky slats from Dollar Tree, paint them with my hazelnut color, and then those 3 pumpkins are from Dollar Tree. I'm going to use Waverly's plaster and moss, and then I'm going to use that warm sunset as well. I think I used warm sunset. And then I took some of these rub-on transfers from Dollar Tree. I'm just kind of trying to figure out which ones I want to use. I cut out the ones I wanted to use, and I'm just going to rub them, lay them in place, and then rub them until with these you can start seeing a change in the color usually, and so you know that it's adhering. And I'm just going to start pulling up the plastic cover part right there, and if I see any of it coming up, then I just rub it against a little bit more and keep rubbing until it lays down, and then just pull that completely off, which will happen here shortly. And then I did the same thing on the orange pumpkin. I did the same thing on the white one too. I just love how these came out. I just think that it just gave it such a pretty little touch. But I'm just going to do the same thing with this one as I did on the other one. Just keep rubbing and pulling off that plastic cover until it doesn't pull up any more of the image. And yeah, it'll happen. I guess I don't know. I was a little distracted when I was editing this, so I'm sorry, guys. Then I took some of these wood wheels from Hobby Lobby. I'm going to paint them black and the inside of them white. And then I had 2 little pieces that I cut off of a gallon paint stick and painted those with hazelnut. After they're all dry, I'm going to start putting my items together here. I'm going to mark the sides of my chunky pieces there, and then I'm going to use my wood glue and my hot glue, and I'm going to attach them onto the third piece that's in the middle. We're making a little cart, if you didn't know. So once I add my hot glue here, I'm going to attach it to the middle piece, just like you see, and then I'm going to do the same thing with the second piece here. And it's just going to be a really narrow cart. And then I took those little wood pieces here, and I'm going to put them on the ends. And I had measured them so that they fit right inside those 2 pieces there. And then after that, I am going to do the second one. And sorry, the kids are fighting. And then I'm adding some wood glue and hot glue to the bottom of my wheels, and I'm gluing them to the bottom of my cart. And I have my little ruler there to kind of help me make sure that they're pretty even, because I'm really good at making them not even. Then I use my Cricut to create this decal. It says Hello Pumpkin, and I'm just adding it onto the front side of my cart. And then I decided to use my wood glue and a little hot glue to the bottom of my pumpkins here, and I'm going to glue them to the inside part of my cart. And then I forgot, before I glued those, I thought, I wanted to put some bows on. So I'm going to make some just little shoe string bows with my twine and put them on the top part of my pumpkins. Then I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on the front side of these pumpkins. I'm going to add the wood glue and hot glue and then attach them to the front of my cart right in front of the white one. And after I have those all glued in, then I'm going to take some little blocks from Dollar Tree. I painted these black except for the two sides that are going to be glued. And I'm gluing them right behind the tires or the wheels to the bottom of my cart. I just felt like this gave it an extra protection so that those wheels, I was worried that the wheels would break off without that extra protection. I took a tumbling tower block that I painted with hazelnut, glued it to the front, and then this little dowel piece I had from something I had painted previously, and I just glued that. I angled the end with my miter shears, and there it is. I love how this is. You could do so much with this, but I just think it's adorable. You have to let me know what you think about this one. I got these last year from Hobby Lobby, and I totally forgot to use them. They were $5.99, but I got them at 40% off. I wait and get everything when it's on sale. There's very little that I won't get there on that's not on sale. But anyways, I forgot to use these last year, and so I thought I want to make sure I use them this year. So I'm going to put Mod Podge on the front of each one of these. And then I'm going to take a napkin that I got from decoupagenapkin.com. And I'm just going to, I cut it down. I removed the plies, there's two plies behind it. I removed them both from the back of my napkin. And I'm just laying them onto that Mod Podge. And then I'm just going to cover it with some more Mod Podge. Now, I thought about using my heat press on this, but because it is, I guess I do it on wood all the time. I don't know. This just feels like it's, it's it's real wood, although it's all real wood. It just because it's got the bark behind it. I don't know. I guess I was thinking it was more special, which it really isn't. I could have probably used my heat press in it. Anyways, sometimes you have these thoughts and you think they're smart, and then you start thinking about it logically and you're like, oh wait, that's not very smart. Anyways, I trimmed off all the excess napkins, and then I am just taking all three of the pumpkin color, the true burgundy color, and then I'm also going to use Folk Arts Antique Green, and I'm going to paint the edges, the white part of the leaves, the sides of the leaves. It's right before it meets the bark on the back, and I'm just going to paint each one of those. And then I'm doing the antique green. I think I called this vintage green on one of my last videos, and it's because Kathy Jo calls it vintage green all the time, and I always have to say, no, it's antique. So then she gets me calling it vintage green. Now she'll be correcting me pretty soon. Once they were all dry, I also took some blocks. I have a ton of these blocks I found in my stash. So I took 3 of them. I painted them the same color. I also took 3 dowels and painted them the same color. My husband drilled holes in the blocks, and he also drilled holes in my leaves for me. And I'm just going to put a little bit of wood glue in each hole. And then as you saw, I added the dowel to the block and then added the leaf to that dowel. And I'm going to do the same thing on the green. I did it on all 3. They were all the same size. If you want to recreate this, you could do, different sizes if you want. If you don't have these blocks, you could do them on a like one of the chunky slats from Dollar Tree. Just make it your own. Do whatever you like and makes you happy. After I had them all connected, I took some of this ribbon. This came from Dollar Tree. I've had this in my stash forever, so I don't know if they still have it or not, but I'm just going to glue it around my block. Now, after that, I made a few just little regular bows, like doing the awareness ribbon like I always do. And I couldn't decide if I wanted the bow right under the leaf, over this ribbon that's going around the blocks, or where the block and the dowel meet. And I sat here for like 10 minutes playing around, and I just could not figure out which one I like the best. So you'll see what I end up picking here in a moment. But I'm just doing the awareness ribbon, scrunching it up in the middle, taking some jute twine and tying it tight in the middle to keep that shape. And then, of course, I will trim off the excess twine and then I'm going to dovetail the ends. You could also just cut the ends at an angle if you wanted to, or leave them blank, but I like to have them dovetailed. And so I just fold it in half and cut at an angle. And then I decided to just go ahead and glue it at the base there. I felt like when it was right up underneath the leaf, it was too busy with the leaf. So yeah, that's what I decided to do. But anyways, I think these came out really, really cute. I wasn't quite sure what to do with them, but I really like how these came out. You have to let me know what you think about these as well. So I'm taking this sign from Dollar Tree and I am removing the hanger. It was just stapled in. I'm taking these leaves from Hobby Lobby and I'm just going to lay them all out in a circle, just kind of like I'm making a wreath. And yeah, I love these little leaves. I think they're so pretty. But anyways, I think I've said this in the past. One of my favorite things about fall is the colorful leaves. I just love it. And the sad thing is we live in Oklahoma, and where we live, we don't get to see a lot of color. A couple of years ago, I went back to Oregon for in the fall for a couple of things to visit family, and I was just going, oh, I miss all these colors. I didn't realize how much color we had in the fall in Oregon until I moved here to Oklahoma. But that's one of my favorite things. So I think that's one of the reasons why I love this. But I'm just taking my Tight Bond Quick and Thick multi-purpose glue. I'm going to glue all these leaves on. And you guys, again, this glue is amazing because it only takes 5 minutes maybe, and you can't even move these. I tried, and I'm like, because it felt like it was a little crooked, it wasn't quite round, and I couldn't move them. They were already done. So but I'm just going to glue all of them. Didn't take very long at all. I took this Hello Fall from Dollar Tree and painted it with my pumpkin color. I took some tumbling tower blocks. I was going to paint them with my plaster, but I ended up painting them orange because I wasn't thinking. So I'm just using my hot glue to glue the 4 pieces end to end. When I painted those, I did only painted 2 of them with the ends. The other ones I didn't paint. Just, I don't know, I think it adheres a little bit better. Anyways, I'm taking my Tite Bond Quick and Thick multi-purpose glue again and gluing the back of my Hello Fall. I'm going to add a couple of dabs of hot glue as well. And then I'm just going to glue it to the front of my sign. Super easy DIY, but I think it is really pretty. I think this is going to be one that I'm going to leave in my home. I just love it. But I'm just going to take that strip of tumbling tower blocks with my Tite Bond glue and hot glue, glue it to the back of my sign so that I have a stand. And then when I was going through all of my fall crafting supplies, I found a little bow that I had made that I never used, and I decided I'm just going to use that one. So I just glued that on there. After I did it, I thought, oh, I should have used the one with the leaves. That would make more sense. But I love this one. You have to let me know what you think about this one as well, and which one was your favorite today. And if you're going to be recreating, I'd love to know, and I'd love to see pictures of them. But here is the final reveal, you guys. Taking 2 of these smaller wood planks from Dollar Tree, I'm filling up the holes with some spackling from Dollar Tree as well. And then I am taking a ruler here and I am marking, I wish I would have wrote down the measurements. I think it was around 2.5 inches. I marked my lines. I'm going to use my painter's tape and go around those lines here, just like you see me doing. And I did that on both of them. And then after I had that done, I decided to go ahead and take 3 tumbling tower blocks, and I'm going to glue them end to end using my Tite Bond multi-purpose glue. And I'm going to make 2 sets of those. Now, the reason why I'm doing this in between all my painting is I want to paint these, and I wanted to have a few minutes for those, for the glue to set before I painted. So then I went, and I think this was about the same amount on the top. I think it was about 2.5 inches. If you recreate this, just kind of make it your own, do whatever looks right to you. But I think it was about 2.5 inches that I did. Now I'm going to paint the top part with those 2 sets of tumbling tower blocks and 4 single tumbling tower blocks with my Waverly chalk paint in the color ink. I'm going to paint the middle of this with Waverly chalk paint in the color hazelnut. And then, sorry about the lighting, guys, this was at night and it was a little darker, but I painted the bottom part of that with Waverly chalk paint in the color maize. I'm going to take some fabric from Dollar Tree. I'm going to add some Mod Podge to the yellow part on just one of these. And I'm going to add that material or that fabric, and then I'll cover it again with some more Mod Podge. Now, if you aren't sure what we're making, we are making some scarecrows. Now, I got this inspiration from Pinterest. I saw some of these on Pinterest and they just thought they were so adorable and I wanted to try and recreate them. And I just love how these came out. So after I had that one on, just the one, because we're going to make a male and a female, I took 4 tumbling tower blocks and painted them with my maize color. And then on 2 of them, I'm just adding some more of that fabric onto the front side using the Mod Podge, lay the fabric down, and then I'll go over it again with some more Mod Podge just to protect it. Let's see. After that, I am going to take my ruler here again, and I am going to mark out some lines. I want to make some overalls on them, and I'm going to paint the overalls on. And so here I am just, I think I went down about an inch. Yeah, it was an inch down. It was about a quarter of an inch inward. But I will say when I do paint it, I do make those lines a little thicker because I felt like they were too thin. So once I have, and I'm just doing this just to give myself a guideline when I'm painting. So once I had my marks all on there, I took my small paintbrush here and I am, and I have this sped up quite a bit, you guys. This is how slow I'm painting because I want to make sure I don't go over those lines. And I'm just trying to gently go right over the line, or I should say on the line and below. I was trying not to go above the line. So once I had that part all painted in, then I took my big paintbrush and I just painted all the rest of it. And I did this on the front and the back of both of them, even painting over the fabric. Okay. After I was done, I took the girl one and I took some more of that fabric. I had some pinking shears that I cut the edges with. And then I pulled up some of the fabric and folded it over to make pleats, and then just put a little dab of hot glue and glued that pleat in place. Then I'm going to cover it with some more of that, or with some of the rickrack. After that, I took some hot glue and I'm gluing, these are the arms. I'm just gluing them to the side. I'm not sure how steady this is going to be. I was trying to think of a way of strengthening it in the back, but I might have to figure that out later. I'm going to add some more of that rickrack up to the top part of my overalls for the female. Then I'm going to make her face, and I am just going to make some circles here and I'm going to paint them all in. And once I have that painted in, I'm going to make a smile, make a little cheek lines there, and then just smile. And then I'm going to make a triangle nose. And then I'm going to paint in that triangle nose. I also made some stitch marks along the nose and the mouth with my pen. Then I added some white dots to the eyes. And then I'm going to take some buttons. I'm going to glue them to the overalls. I'm going to use my Tight Bond Quick and Thick multi-purpose glue and some hot glue to glue the brim of the hat on. And once I did that, I was like, oh no, I forgot to add the hair. So I did have to carefully add some hair. I'll show you kind of how I did it with the guy, so that you can do it right if you recreate these. I added a few more patches and buttons to the female, and then I'm going to color the eyes in a little differently for the male. Now, I had the picture from Pinterest up on my laptop because when it comes to painting faces or drawing anything like that, I can't do it on my own. I always have to copy something just because I'm not imaginative. Now, maybe as I do this more, I'll get better, but that's what I was doing. So I also made some pocket marks and just stuff to make it look more like pants, like there's a slit in the legs. I took some of that hula skirts from Dollar Tree. I cut some small pieces using my hot glue. I'm gluing them to where the black and the brown meet. And then I'm just going to use the same multi-purpose glue and hot glue to glue the brim over that. And then I just trimmed the bangs. I'm going to add some more of that hula skirt to the back of the arms and then also to the back part of the body here. And then after that, I took some black little blocks that I painted black, and I'm gluing them to the back of my guy. Well, I did this to both the guy and the girl, and then glued them to the tumbling tower blocks with the hay looking stuff coming out the front. Then I decided, okay, he's wearing denim. We've got to have some stitch marks, right? But anyways, I love denim and sunflowers. And so I thought, okay, I got to make this look a little more like denim. And I made stitch lines, and I absolutely love these. I think these are so stinking adorable. You have to let me know what you think about these in the comment box below. Going to start off by taking this pumpkin. I'm going to remove that bow. And then I am going to take some of this cookie sheet, this aluminum cookie sheet, which is the must-use item here, and I laid it over the side pieces, the side raised areas of this pumpkin, and I'm using an embossing tool. I'm just going around the whole those pieces that are raised. That way I could cut it out. So I did that for both sides, and not the middle, just the two sides. Then I took my placemat and I laid it down, and I'm just pretty much doing the same thing but with a pin. That way I knew where to cut them out, and I cut it all out, both of them, all three pieces. Oh my goodness. Okay, and then I'm taking my burnt orange and I am painting the non-raised areas of the pumpkin. I did the front and the back with that color. Once that was all done and dry, I'm going to add some Mod Podge to the middle section, and I'm going to let it dry. And I don't know what I'm doing, picking something out. Anyways, once it was while it was drying, I took this True Burgundy by Folk Art and I painted the cookie sheet pieces. I'm using my Mod Podge, or oh my goodness, you guys, I'm using my heat press. I'm resetting that Mod Podge so that my fabric stuck, and then went over it again with some more Mod Podge. Now I'm going to use my Tite Bond glue, and I'm going to glue the aluminum foil pieces on top, just like you see right there. And then once I had it centered, I laid some stuff on it for a few minutes to make sure that it sat and it would set with the glue. And then I'm taking my hot glue and some more of that braided jute cord that I love. I'm going around the middle piece, and I liked it so much I decided to go around the outside pieces as well. Just, I think it gives it a more of a finished look. And then after that, I took one of these tag signs from Dollar Tree. You could use any tag sign. I'm going to remove the paper just like I did on the first DIY. I'm just going to take off that top layer, spritz it all down, and scrape off the bottom layer. Now, I didn't paint it. Instead, I'm just going to cover this with Mod Podge. As you can see, I took the lid off there to pour it, and then I thought I put the lid back on it. Well, I didn't tighten the lid, and guess what happens? Yep, there you go. So after I cleaned up my mess, I laid some of this is the backing from the placemat. This is the back color. So I thought I'm going to incorporate this because I just love this placemat. And then I added some of the plaid on the bottom, and I'm adding some on the top as well. Once I had it all laid out, I trimmed off all that excess fabric there. And then I'm going to cover the whole thing with more Mod Podge, because you could kind of see the Mod Podge soaking through that. And I just thought if I do it this way, it'll make it look more even, which it did. And then I took some more of this cord and went over the top and the bottom where the joints meet of the fabric. And I punched the hole through the fabric with my pokey tool there. And then I took some more hot glue and this jute cord, and I am just going to go all the way around my tag sign. Then I'm just going to use hot glue. I'm going to glue my pumpkin right in the middle. And these are some words. I think they're like some table decorative things from Hobby Lobby. I guess you put them on the table. And I liked this one, so I'm using my hot glue. I'm going to glue it right on the front. And then I took some pieces of ribbon, and I'm just going to do a messy bow. I'm just doing across there, just alternating all the colors, trying to get them all even there. And then I'm going to take twine and I'm going to wrap it around and tie a knot in the back. And after that, I'm going to pull real tightly. My ribbons were moving all around on me, so I'm trying to get them all in place there, make them even before I got that all tight. Then I'm just going to trim off the twine and use some hot glue and glue that where the hanger hole is on my pumpkin. Then I just added a little sunflower, and then I'm just going to add some jute for a holder and or a hanger, and that's all there was for this. I think this came out really pretty. I really like how this came out, and who would know that I used aluminum foil pan there, huh? Anyways, you have to let me know what you think about this one as well. The final reveal is coming right up. Make sure you check out Kathy Jo's channel and her video. I'm going to take some more of those giant craft sticks from Walmart, and I marked, I think it was like 6 3/4 inch, and I am going to cut off the edges and cut them down, and then I'm going to use that to cut the rest of mine down. I'm just going to lay it on top of them and mark it and then cut them all down. And I had 9 of these that I'm cutting the same size. And then I took 2 more and I am cutting them, the ends at an angle like you see. And I love my miter shears. If you don't have these, I would say invest in them if you can, because they are wonderful for cutting edges or diagonals. And then I'm going to paint them with my burnt orange, yes. And then I took one of the chunky wood slats from Dollar Tree and went over it with my antique wax. I also painted just 2 of those giant craft sticks. I left them the same size, painted them with the burnt orange, and then I'm using my wood glue and hot glue to connect all of those pieces together from the back. Now, I did see this on Pinterest, and I thought, oh, that would be so much fun to make, and it would be easy, and I loved it. So I thought I would make it. And then I took this Thankful came from a little package that has Thankful and Blessed. It's from Hobby Lobby. It's for like your tables for Thanksgiving. You know, you set it on your plates or whatever. So I went over it with my antique wax. I didn't wipe it off. I just covered the paint with it, and it gave it a really nice look. So then I took 4 or 5 tumbling tower blocks and glued them together end to end with my hot glue. And then I'm going to use my Tite Bond multi-purpose glue and hot glue to connect them to the back of my pumpkin, my craft stick pumpkin. And then I'm just going to use that Tite Bond glue and a little bit of hot glue on the back of my Thankful word. And then I'm just going to place it on the front of my pumpkin. Does it seem like it took me forever to use my hot glue there? I don't know. It just felt like that took forever. And then there was a little earthquake there. I don't know what I did. I don't know how I hit my camera. But anyways, I'm just going to glue that on as well to that base using my multi-purpose glue and hot glue. Then I took another piece of the craft stick and cut it down and cut a little bit of an angle at the top. I'm going over it with my antique wax, both the front and the back. And then I'm going to glue it to the top of my pumpkin. I am sorry this is not in frame. It was on the back side that I glued it. Then I took some of these pip berries and I wrapped it around my peduncle that I just created. And I'm going to wrap it around a paintbrush there to make a curly Q. And then you just pull the paintbrush out. You could use a pin. You could use whatever you have on hand that's round. And then I'm going to dress this up with some leaves, and these are just leaves from a Dollar Tree pick. And I'm just going to use my hot glue, and I'm going to add some sunflowers here. This one's from Dollar Tree. The small ones are from, oh, these are actually from Dollar Tree as well. They come in like a wheat bush. I don't know. They're really pretty. And I took some of the little wheat that came off of the Dollar Tree pick there, and I'm just adding that. And there it is. It's simple, but I love how this came out. It's so pretty. And what a different take on a pumpkin, right? And yeah, you'll have to let me know what you think about this one as well. My truffle. And this is a wood leaf from Dollar Tree. And this is another thing I saw on Pinterest, a leaf painted like this. And I thought, oh, that's so pretty. I want to try that. And you know, one of my favorite things about fall is the leaves. And I know I've said this before, we don't really get the color here in Oklahoma like we do when I lived in Oregon. And so I really miss it. And I think that this is why this one just spoke to me, because it has all those fall colors and I just loved it. So I also took my True Burgundy from Folk Art, and I'm just painting it on right under that brown. Now, I didn't thoroughly clean my brush in between each time because I wanted some of that color to bleed in, because we're doing the ombre effect, I guess you could say. And so here I'm just using my crimson paint as well, and I am trying to get some of the burgundy mixed in there. And yeah, I wasn't quite sure how far I wanted to do all of this, so I kind of was painting in small sections. But once I got it to about the length that I wanted it, then I'm going to switch to my burnt orange. So there's my burnt orange. I'm going to use the same paintbrush. Again, when I wiped it off, I just wiped off like the excess from the paintbrush and then just kept painting. And so I'm going to paint this down a little bit, and then I'm going to take the Warm Sunset by Decor, and I'm going to do that. And I'm sorry that my camera, I hate this about my phone, that camera, when autofocus, it is so glitchy. Drives me nuts. Anyways. After that, I'm going to take my Maze by Waverly, and I'm going to paint down below that orange, and I'm going to go about halfway down that part of the leaf, and then I'm going to add the Parakeet by Apple Barrel. Now, I forgot as I was painting, I'm like, oh man, I forgot to put filler in that hole. So I do end up doing some spackling in the hole and paint it over it with my Parakeet color. Anyways, after I have this all done, I was like, that green is almost too bright, I think. But I figured out what to do. So I took, before I did that though, I did go over, I grabbed some more of the colors because I wanted to blend them a little bit more. So like here I have the Maze, and I'm just blending it a little bit more with the orange. And then if it got too heavy, I just grabbed some of the orange and kind of blended in a little bit with that too. But I just kind of went through all of it where I felt like it needed to be blended a little bit better. Then I took a paper towel and my antique wax, and I went all over the green to darken it a little bit. And then I just went over the rest of it here and there. And I love how this came out. So then here is where I took the two long signs from Dollar Tree, and I'm using my, I don't know if they're the jumbo or the giant. I always get confused of which one is which. But anyways, my big craft sticks from Walmart, and put them together in the back to connect my sign. Then I created this decal with my Cricut, and I'm using my burnt orange and this isn't a decal, this is a stencil. But I'm going to stencil over the words and with my burnt orange, my new favorite color. So I'm going to do this, and then I went on the bottom, and it says fall favorite color. So where's the is my, right? I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that here in a minute. But yeah, the vinyl cutout, or the stencil vinyl that was cut out, was too long, and I couldn't fit is my in there. So I wanted to wait till it was dry and then did the is my underneath it, if that makes sense. But anyways, I'm just going to use my wood glue on the back of my leaf here and some hot glue, and I'm going to attach that right in the middle of my sign. I just love this. And then after that, I took some of these little wood leaves from Hobby Lobby, and I just kind of laid them all around, and I'm just going to use my Tite Bond multi-purpose glue there and glue it all on. And I love this. I really do love this. Anyways, once I have those all on, I'm going to take some of that orange twine, and I'm going to make a hanger. I did not fill the holes, the other two holes there, because I'm going to cover it with some ribbon. Partly because I was probably, well, I wasn't painting the boards. So, you know, if I put spackling on there, you would see the difference. So that's why I did it that way. So I took some of this ribbon that Kathy just sent me. I think she got it at Hobby Lobby. And I'm just going to glue it on along the top part of my sign, like you see me doing right there. And then once I have those holes covered and the whole front covered, I'm just going to glue the edges to the back. And then I just made another little finger bow with that orange twine, and I'm just gluing it to my leaf, and there it is. Isn't that just beautiful? I love those colors. I hope you like it as much as I do. Let me know in the comment box below. They're like pumpkin. They kind of look like pumpkin, but they're jars from Dollar Tree. I love these. If you see them, pick them up because they go fast. I'm going to clean everything off with some alcohol. And then I'm going to take them all out to my shed and I'm going to spray paint them. No, I'm not. I'm going to add some Fix-All glue and hot glue to the top of these little candle sticks. Now these came from Dollar Tree last Christmas, and I'm just going to add these together. Now, if you don't have those, you could always use the glass candlesticks. You could use any kind of candlesticks or riser part that you have. Then I took them outside and painted them with my Rust-Oleum flat white spray paint. While they were drying, actually, I'm going to take these two little crates and I'm going to use my wood glue and a little bit of hot glue to glue them together end by end. Now, I have seen people take the ends off before and glue them together, but yeah, I figured that's too much work. So why do that when you can just glue them together like this? And then I'm just going to go over the whole thing inside and out with my Waverly Antique Wax. I'm just going to brush it on, wipe off the excess, and then yeah, I even do the outside, the bottom, everything. I got to make it uniform, right? I normally when I do make things like this, I don't do the bottom inside because it's going to be covered, but I did anyways. So then the next day, once those were dry, completely dry, I was just going to kind of lightly distress with my antique wax, but then I decided, you know what? I don't really like the way this is looking. So I decided to go with a heavy coat of my antique wax all over it, and it makes it have that wood look, which is perfect because this is the What Would You Make challenge, right? And I know these aren't wood, but we'll get, we've got some wood in this project. But I did let that set overnight and then added a second coat to make it a little darker. So then the next day I took this pool noodle and I am just going to cut it so that it fits right inside of both of my little pumpkin jars. I'm going to use some hot glue, and be careful when you're doing this because it does melt your pool noodle, so you don't want to put too much. But I'm going to add some moss all along the top. And of course, ask me how I know about the melting. And then I just put that pool noodle back in. I have these candles. I got these from Amazon. They have timers in them. So once you turn them on, they'll stay on for 6 hours and then turn off and come back on after 18 hours, which I love. But I took some of these little sunflowers from a pick from Dollar Tree. I added them into the pool noodle there. And then I'm going to take some rope and I'm just going to, or not rope, some twine. I'm going to wrap it around the edge there. And then I'm just going to make little bows. Sorry, this isn't in frame. It's kind of hard when these things are so tall. Then I took some dowel caps and I got these from Hobby Lobby. I went over them with my antique wax. And then I'm going to take my Type Bond Quick and Thick multi-purpose glue and I'm going to attach my little dowel caps to the bottom for feet. I just think it gives it an extra bit of elegance when you raise it. So I took some floral foam here in this little cutter I got from Dollar Tree and I just kind of measured it, had it on top and so I could see where to cut it. And then I took this and I just went along the top edge. And of course you can't go all the way through because of that little handle. So I just turned it around and voila, it was perfect. So I did one for each of those little crates. And then here I'm just kind of using my, you'll see it in a moment, my Cricut spatula. And I am going around the bottom I was just going to leave these on top of the floral foam, but it just was too wiggly and I didn't want them to fall over and break. So I decided to make a hole. So I just went around it with my Cricut spatula and then I'm just going to go here and finish digging through it and see how it's kind of slanted on the inside. I had to scrape that all out as you're seeing right there because I wanted that the candlesticks to fit right inside and sit inside of that little crate. That way it was a little more sturdy and I wouldn't have to worry about it falling over as well. So once I did that on both sides, I had got some picks from Hobby Lobby. I actually had to go get more floral foam and of course I ended up buying some picks to add to this instead of digging through all the stuff that I have. Anyway, so I'm just going to add some leaves and then I'm not sure what they call these. I think I want to call them like wheat, but I know Hobby Lobby or Dollar Tree would call them hot bushes. So I don't know. But anyways, they had these cool little corn picks and I thought, oh, this would be perfect because this is a Thanksgiving theme. I had so many people ask me last year, and it was like right at the end of my fall, why doesn't anyone do Thanksgiving themed? And I thought, what a great idea. I never really thought about it, because for me, fall and Thanksgiving are just kind of all the same, but I think this is a little more towards your Thanksgiving. So I thought adding some little corns to the picks would be great, or corn picks to my arrangement would be great. And then these little fall ball thingies. I don't know what you call those. But anyways, I just went around, and then I'm going to add some little pumpkins and gourds and some pine cones. And I absolutely love how this came out. I just think it is so beautiful. I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to put this because I don't know, but I love it. And I definitely want to put it somewhere. But yeah, there it is. I love how this came out. You have to let me know what you think about this as well. And this would be great on your Thanksgiving dinner table. I'm going to take one of those oval wood plaques from Dollar Tree. I'm going to paint it with Waverly chalk paint in the color Ivory. I'm going to take 4 of those little wood dice blocks from Dollar Tree and paint it with Warm Sunset by Decor. Then I took some little 1-inch fall wood letters from Hobby Lobby, and I'm going to paint them with Ivory. I put them on my painter's tape so that way it's easier to paint, and then just painted the front. Once they are all dry, I'm going to take my Tite Bond glue. I'm going to go ahead and glue each letter on the front of one of those dice or wood blocks, whatever you want to call them. And I love using this glue because it really does stick quickly. And by the time I was done with all this, they were already stuck. And so then I'm going to use that same glue. I did not use hot glue on these at all, just my Tite Bond glue, and I'm going to glue them on top of each other so it spells out the word fall. And then I took this styrofoam pumpkin. I'm going to keep that top part, the peduncle, for the top of my blocks, but I pulled it off, and then I'm using my box cutter to cut a hole out of the top. And I didn't have to cut very deep because I wanted to use the styrofoam in it to hold my flowers that I'm going to put inside of this. But I'm just going to kind of cut until I can, well, I thought I could pull it up with my knife, but I ended up having to use my finger, or at least that's what I thought, because look, I'm doing this, I'm like, okay, I'm getting a bunch here, and then I just pull out the orange part of it. So I'm like, okay, I got to dig a little further. So I just kind of used my knife to dig it out a little bit. And then I'm going to just fill it with some small sunflowers that came from Hobby Lobby. These little red flowers come from Dollar Tree. I don't know what they're called. And then I just keep filling it. And then I had a pick here from Dollar Tree that had some of those little styrofoam bead things. I just stuck that in there. And then I'm just going to use my hot glue on the bottom of this pumpkin, and I'm going to glue it onto my base. And then I'm going to use my Tite Bond glue for the tall pumpkin, I guess you could call it, glue that on top. I painted that little peduncle. I went over it with a light coat of my celery because I loved how it was showing some of the dark green through it. And then I just used hot glue to glue it on top, and I'm going to add a bow. I am so sorry this is not completely in frame. I'm going to add some more of those sunflowers just along the bottom there, and that's all there is for this. Super easy, really cute little shelf sitter to display. And I love it. I just think it is adorable. You have to let me know what you think about this one as well, and which one was your favorite today. And the final reveal is coming right up. Make sure you watch the playlist and comment and show them all some love. And then, so I'm going to take this Hello Fall sign. I got it for $3.49, 40% off of that from Hobby Lobby. I removed the hanger. I'm going to fill up those holes with some spackling, and then I didn't paint it at all. I just took my Mod Podge, and I'm going to go over the whole front of the sign, just brushing it all along the front of the letters there. And believe it or not, this was a little harder than it looked, trying to not get it all over on the sides because I didn't want my napkin to be stuck to the sides. So yeah, I probably could have used a smaller brush. But anyways, I let it dry. Once it was dry, I took this napkin. I believe I might have got this. I got this last year, so I don't know if I got it from Dollar Tree or Dollar General, but I got it from one of those places. I'm laying it on my Word. I'm covering it with the parchment paper to protect the napkin, and then I'm just using my heat press to go over that napkin so that it reactivates the Mod Podge and the napkin sticks. If you don't have one of these little heat presses, they're really not very expensive, but you can use an iron as long as there's no steam on. And I'm just going to go over making sure that each part of my words is covered and that I'm going over each part of it. It wasn't wide enough, so I took a little strip from the top and I cut it to kind of match that one little area, and then I'm just going to go over that too. And after that, I trimmed it all down, and then I'm just going to brush on some more Mod Podge, just staying on the front part of my letters. And the reason being is because I'm going to use the burn method. So once it was all dry, I'm taking my scissors and just kind of poking holes through the areas that are open. And then I'm going to use my lighter from the back side to burn off all that excess paper. And the reason why I made sure not to put Mod Podge on the open areas was because the fire will burn up to where the Mod Podge is. So if you put it all over, and those open areas won't burn like this. So I just went ahead and burned off all of that. And then I took my little finger file here. This is just a regular nail file, and I am using that plus my finger sander to get all the excess napkin off. Then I took, what is that, 6 of those wood strips from Dollar Tree. I think these are like 12 or 18 inches long. And no, there's 7, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of those. I'm gluing them together using my wood glue and hot glue. And I'm just gluing them and then kind of pressing them together. And then after I had them all glued together, I took some 2 5-gallon paint sticks and I cut them down to the size that I needed. And then again, I'm going to use my wood glue and hot glue, and I glued one to the bottom of my sign, and this is going to be on the front, and then one on the top of my sign. So I did not use any craft sticks on the back like I would normally do, but instead I just put those on the front as added strength. But that's not the reason why I put them on, is more decorative. But anyways, I went over the whole thing with my Waverly Antique Wax. I just brushed it on and wiped it off with a paper towel. And then again, I'm going to use my wood glue and hot glue on the back of my word. And I'm just going to glue this to the front of the sign. And you guys, I absolutely love the way this came out. Sometimes I wish I didn't love the stuff I make because I don't have room in my house for it. Then I took these little skewers with the leaves that I got from Hobby Lobby. These, I just love these. These are so pretty. And I'm using my needle nose pliers, and I'm just kind of pulling the stick out and twisting the leaf as I pull. Sometimes it breaks, the skewers break like that one did, and you can see a little bit. I just try to pick it off so that you don't see very much of that stick that's there. But then I just used my Type Bond Quick and Thick Multi-Purpose Glue, and I glued on these leaves just all around the word hello, or hello fall. And then I'm just going to add a hanger. This wood is thick enough. I went ahead and used my stapler, and that's all there was for this one. I can't wait for you to see it. I love how this came out, and I showed my husband and he just thought it was beautiful, which always makes me happy when he says things like that. Anyways, you have to let me know what you think about this in the comment box below. Take one of these pumpkins. I got this last year from Dollar Tree in the Dollar Tree Plus section. I must have used the stem for something last year. And then I took one of these carvable pumpkins. I'm going to cut out the stem on this with my knife. Now, if you want to recreate this, I would suggest using a different pumpkin if you have a smaller one, not the carvable ones, because you can tell that they're styrofoam. Once you paint it, you can see the little bumps. But I painted one with my ivory and one with my worn penny. I'm going to glue the smaller one on top of the larger one. I took one of these candlesticks from Dollar Tree, and I'm using my Fix-All glue and hot glue, and I'm going to glue them onto a styrofoam round. This is from oh my goodness, Dollar Tree. Oh my word. Okay. And I just glued that in place. And then I'm using my little pokey tool to kind of, because it's really hard to poke these things through. So I'm just making a little hole and I'm going to add some glue to the bottom of these leaves. These all come from picks from Dollar Tree. And then I'm just going to stick those in going all around. I just want to fill this up. So I'm just kind of using those for fillers. You could use moss if you wanted to recreate this and add moss, glue moss around and then start adding plants. But I just kind of wanted to fill it up with some leaves. And then I just taken whatever I had in my stash. This was like, it's called wheat, but it had little sunflowers on it. This came from Dollar Tree. I'm going to add some chrysanthemums, I think is what those were called. And what else did I add? I added some hops bushes. I added all kinds of things all the way around. And then I took some moss here and I'm just going to go in between, glue it around in between those two pumpkins because I felt like that needed to be dressed up some too. So I'm going to do that. And then I took, once I had all of that moss all the way around, I'm going to take some sunflowers. Now, the orange sunflowers came from Hobby Lobby, and the yellow and the white ones, I believe, came from Dollar Tree. I'm just going to kind of go around and just place them here and there. And then I took these candles. I got these from Amazon last year at Christmas time, and they have timers on it, which I love. So once you turn them on, they'll stay on, I think, for 6 hours and then turn off and come back on after 18 hours. But anyways, I just did on the top, I added some more of the moss and some sunflowers. I'm using my thick solid glue here and a little bit of hot glue. And I'm going to add my pumpkins right on top of this. I'm going to make this beautiful topiary with a candle on the top. I just love this. And I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to put it in my house because I love it so much. Oh, I guess this is where I finished it off. That's right. I wanted to add the candle first before I added the sunflowers, but there it is. I love it. You'll have to let me know what you think about this one as well in the comment box below.